The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
Regular furnace maintenance can be your wallet's best friend, slashing energy bills and warding off those inconvenient breakdowns that seem to strike at the worst moments. Don't leave it to chance. Schedule your tune-up today at standardheating.com.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, Backtracks Edition.
Got a couple of stories here for you, basketball related. Brad Ryder, you might know this one. Maybe you were here. Maybe you were there, I should say. Maybe you were there for this, but maybe the timing, I don't remember. When did you get gassed?
Boy, it's going on 3 years now.
Is it 3 years this summer?
Yeah.
So
3
maybe.
this summer, yeah.
Were you there January of 2020?
I was not, but I know where you're going with the story. I heard about it yesterday.
It ended
Is
up in the.
Michael Rand's write-up in the paper today?
I'll give you my opinion once you set it out.
Okay. I don't remember who wrote it, but it ended up in the Star Trib.
Yeah, it's Michael Rand, I think.
Okay.
It was off an ESPN story by Zach Lowe, I believe.
I'll go along with it.
Yeah.
I'll go along with it. The story I saw in the Star Tribune, it's about Standrew Wiggins having success with the Golden State Warriors, blah, 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 blah. You've heard that stuff a million times. What happened? Here with the Wolves, he only did this, but now with the Golden State, I'm tired of the topic. Right. But the story is apparently former Wolves coach Ryan Saunders once screamed at Andrew Wiggins so much at halftime of a game in January 2020. This is right before Wiggins was traded. There was some concern that Ryan might be having cardiac issues.
Oh, my.
That's how hard he was screaming at Andrew Wiggins.
Seems so out of character for him, too.
But it was determined that Ryan had pulled a muscle in his chest.
Wow.
During the conference? Okay, wow.
So you know the story, Brad.
I do.
Is it true?
Well, here's what I will say. Tom Thibodeau is not the only NBA head coach who yells and screams at players. Breaking news. Okay,
sure.
They all do. They all do. They don't all make a spectacle of it.
You know, you're very defensive of
No,
Tibbs.
I wanted to use him as an example in the story, though. That even the most mild-mannered coaches, you would think, that display what they display on the sidelines. When you get them in the locker room, and if somebody's out of line, they'll go after somebody, and I've seen it time and time again.
Sure.
Steve Kerr, who I think we all would agree is probably right now the best coach in the NBA, he had to take time away a couple years ago because he had heart issues. I don't know if you guys remember that or not.
Oh, yeah.
And so my point is that all these guys have huge amounts of stress in their jobs, and I've seen, I've seen almost every coach you can name that I worked with or I was with. Behind the scenes, they'll get after guys and they'll yell at guys. So this story didn't really surprise me a lot.
That's certainly all part of the job. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
I just look at Ryan and I just don't. Man, that just to me seems out of character for him. But
well, and the other part of this to me that I wanted to bring up too is if anybody wants to make something out of the fact that Ryan and Wiggins didn't get along, that's not true either.
Yeah, right.
I'm obviously close friends with Ryan, so I was at his wedding. Andrew was at his wedding. Andrew and he are very tight, and Ryan actually told me this spring that Andrew, and this was before this story even came up, that Andrew's one of the people he keeps in closest touch with even now.
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
So
I didn't read the story and determine that the two of them must have hated each other. Of course,
And I
coaches are going to yell at players,
Absolutely.
and then they can still remain friends afterwards.
I think most coaches actually will tell you the players that they are the closest to are the ones that they feel most comfortable yelling at and getting after because they take it the right way.
I just think it's funny and it must have been very frightening for Ryan or the staff when they see him maybe clutching his chest.
Kind of like Fred Sanford.
Yes.
And, Sanford's son, Elizabeth.
I'm coming, Elizabeth. That must have been frightening. Has anyone on the staff on the show here ever yelled at someone with so much fervor that you hurt yourself?
No.
I'd say Ashley would be the most likely candidate.
Yeah, I don't think so, no.
Oh,
I don't know. I've never seen Ashley. Ashley's more intimidating just as she is. I've never seen you yell at someone.
It's not pretty.
You have yelled at people.
Yeah, it's not good.
I've certainly had that moment where I had to, I better sit down here for a minute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, they thought maybe, when Ryan was coaching a couple years ago, what was he, 37, 36?
Young guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be holy balls. We got the young coach here having a heart attack. No, he was all right. He pulled a muscle in his chest, screaming at Andrew Wiggins. God, I wish I had audio of that.
Early in my career, I worked with Gopher basketball, and I was around Clem Haskins. Oh, boy, I got a few stories for that from that guy, too. Oh, boy.
There were a couple times where I thought Clem was going to pass out on the court.
Well, you should have seen him in private at practice.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm thinking, too, Nick, there's times where Clem could easily pull a chest muscle, try to rip his coat off.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Clem was amazing on the sidelines as to how fast and how furious he could take his coat off when a call did not go his way on the sidelines. And then throw it too.
Yes, if you're a younger person and you never saw Clem Haskin coach the Golden Gopher basketball team and some of these little temper tantrums that we're talking about, maybe you can find video on YouTube. But what I loved Golden Gopher basketball. I always haven't, but that was such a great time period.
It really was.
So exciting. But if you don't know, then you won't get this. But when Clem would get real mad, first off, like Randy was saying, he would be furious at his coat. Who put this here? What's this doing on me?
Who put this on me?
Yes. And so he would get so mad. But if you remember, he also, the facial expression was that he was going to cry. Do you remember that?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So it looked like a grown man having a tantrum at his coat, and he was also going to cry for us.
And it was also, usually it was one of those coats that was that 3-button coat that comes across the chest. So it wasn't as easy as just taking it off. There was a little bit to it as well.
God.
You guys should have seen him get after people at practice in private.
I'll bet.
Oh my gosh!
I'll bet.
I mean, some of those old Gophers when they get together. I mean, if you ever talk to any of those guys, Randy, ask them about some of those stories. Oh, he struck the fear of God in those guys.
And remember, he comes from a time when he played in the NBA for like the Phoenix Suns and the other teams. I mean, he played for some fiery people too.
Yes.
I mean, he comes from that old school era of, I mean, George Stoll, the legendary football coach at Stillwater, used to always tell me, when did yelling become a bad thing? Yelling is one of those things. He goes, anybody who ever cared about me as a player, as a person, yelled at me because that was the way to show, urgency.
Passion.
And that's
urgency.
A good way. That's a good way to tie in that Ryan Saunders, Andrew Wiggins story.
Exactly.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Here's a listener that says when he used to play sports as a kid, you want to talk about intense? He said he would get so mad his nose would start to bleed.
Whoa. Wow. That's kind of cool.
And a listener says there were games I didn't think Clem Haskins would have any clothes on by the end of it.
Yeah, when the tie would come off, that was the best.
The tie, he hated his clothes.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
The poor refereeing would cause him to turn on his own clothing.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
And again, that crybaby face was the best part of it. Now, I told you I had a couple of basketball stories. So we covered the Ryan Saunders thing. Now, this is just a rumor that was texted to me by a listener. I didn't look into it at all. I did no research on it. I didn't really have time to. A listener says, this is under the bleachers, Jesus. He said there are theories online. Maybe this is old news. I don't know. You guys tell me. There are theories online that Jimmy Butler is Michael Jordan's child.
Oh, I've heard this one for years.
Okay, you have.
Yeah. I've heard that one since he came to Minnesota 7-8 years ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you know about it? Is he Michael Jordan's child?
It's a rumor. I don't know that it's ever been.
That's hilarious.
Proven by anyone, obviously.
Well, how old is Mike Jordan now? Prick.
60.
And Jimmy Butler's?
30-some.
Michael Jordan's 59.
And Jimmy's, what, 35 or something?
32. No, he's like 33. 32, yeah.
Guess it's possible.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, he got a listener here who heard himself once screaming for water.
I don't think he's recovered.
I hadn't heard that one yet, that Jimmy Butler's is...
Yeah, that's new to me.
Oh, I'm running with this for sure. I don't need any evidence. I'm just going with it.
Jim 365 Jesus once yelled so hard playing hockey that he blew blood vessels in both of his eyes.
Oh,
and he had blood in his eyes for months, he said.
He had the Terminator eyes, the red eyes.
I flipped out pretty badly now and again. Yeah. I never started bleeding out of anything.
You'll find some interesting stuff on that if you Google that. If you Google Jimmy Butler, Michael Jordan's son, I mean, you'll see people that try to, put the online or pictures side by side.
They break it down.
Yeah. Because he obviously, Jimmy had a mother, but his father was never present, and so that's why they are trying to do that.
My old man, always been a pretty even-tempered guy. We only made him blow his stack a couple times. My mom was the one who would blow her stack. My dad, pretty low-key. But one night we pissed him off so bad. We were, in our early... I should say our late teens and drinking and carrying on. And the old man, I don't know what we did, but he finally had enough of us. My brother and I and a couple of buddies were hanging out at his house, raising hell, and he finally had enough of us. And I don't know, maybe he had to be there, but he comes racing down the stairs to chew us out. And we had a dartboard. The basement wasn't finished, so we didn't have the dartboard, like concrete screwed into the wall. We had the dartboard kind of hanging from the ceiling.
Okay.
And the old man comes downstairs, "You sons of bitches!" and he smashed his face into the dartboard.
Oh, no.
And about knocked him out cold. So now he's pissed, and we're laughing at him.
Oh, no.
So my father was, when he would get angry, my father had cataplexy, which is a symptom in which when you get super angry, like when he was going to spank us, he would get weak in the knees. He would, look almost like he was going to fall.
Really?
He never did, but you could always tell when he was super angry because when he was coming to maybe spank you, all of a sudden it's like he got wobbly. And so my brother and I always knew we had that little moment of escape possibility.
That's when you run.
Exactly. When we knew that he was going to be to the point where he might, we got spanked a few times, but we always knew there was that time you had a chance to get out of there if you wanted to.
I've never heard of that before.
I never took advantage of it. I took my medicine if I was going to have it, but I always knew in the back of my head, I always had that thought, now's the time if you're going to go.
You said it's called cataplexy?
Cataplexy, Cataplexy. My dad had that where he would get, if he got super emotional or very angry, he would get weak in the knees. He would almost, fall.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So, he would not make a good coach, let's put it that way. Wow. Or an angry coach, I guess, would be maybe a better way to put that.
So you had a moment there where you could get the F out.
Yeah, my brother and I used to always kind of, know in the back of our minds.
He's getting wobbly, run.
Yep. If that's your chance.
Now's your chance. We got our windows open.
Now, Cubby, you always talk about how your old man ran a little hot. Do you have any real serious highlight where it was just, he flipped out so bad it was just hilarious?
Well, so he, like you said, he flipped out a lot. He had probably the worst temper of anybody I've ever seen. But when he would, road rage situations.
Which is so crazy, Josh, because you were so even-tempered.
Well, I think that's probably why.
Why, right?
I remember my mom pulling me aside. And my dad was an amazing guy. He really was. But he had this temper that was tough for him to control.
Yeah, he was up against a lot of BS, as you've explained before.
As the older I got, the more I realized and thought, geez, he kept it cool compared to what he was dealing with.
Right.
But my mom did pull me aside in maybe third grade and said, listen, you have to control your temper. You can't act like your father. You just can't act like that. He's going to get in some trouble one of these days. But one thing my dad, it would kind of crack me up, but I could never laugh because then he'd come after me. In a driving situation, if he was going to honk the horn, there was this big buildup. Like he'd tense, he'd kind of raise his hands off the steering wheel and then hit that with everything he had. So as soon as I was afraid, once airbags started coming around, I'd be like, Dad, if you hit that as hard as you can, your face is going to explode and we're going to drive off a cliff.
Oh, my gosh.
Here's a listener saying, you knew it was serious at my house when my dad would come in to yell at us in his underwear in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah, that's so true.
Oh, if you're at like a friend's house having a sleepover or something, or you're goofing off, and their dad comes down in his undies to scream at you. Oh man.
Oh, that is a terrifying feeling, isn't
right
it?
when it's not your dad, it's somebody else's
Yeah.
dad, and their undies coming down all pissed off.
We eventually got to the point at my house growing up that all my dad would have to do was stomp on the floor, like just
Oh,
take,
gosh,
like,
yeah.
Yep, just like
Like,
put
you know
one
he's
leg
coming
out of bed.
downstairs.
Yep,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, shut up, everyone, shut up.
I know I just got done saying that my dad was mainly an even-keeled guy. Still is. But, there were times, and I know I've told this story before. Well, first, speaking of dads running out with their underwears on, one night my dad had enough of my twin brother, and this is, again, like we're late teens. My dad came out of the bedroom in his tiny little bikini briefs, which he never bought a big enough size, for Christ's sake. It looked like he was going to be in one of those bodybuilding competitions, you know what I mean? It was disgusting. Buy the right size underwear.
Oh, my God, that's hilarious.
There's nuts hanging out and what I mean.
Oh, my gosh. Ugh.
There was one night where my dad came out of the bedroom.
Hammock.
Yeah, banana hammock.
The banana
6-8 inches of ass crack. Anything you wanted to see. It was a goddamn biology example. What do you say? So he comes out of the bedroom and challenged my twin brother to a fight in his tighty. Oh. I can't call them tighty whities because I think they were like champagne colored or something. Well, that's not the word. It was like purplish.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He wouldn't even get the white ones. He'd get like fancy colors. It made it even look. But there's a color I'm missing. I can't come up with it. But he comes out of his bedroom in those tiny underwear with the ass crack hanging and the heater in his yap, and he goes, "Come on, let's go!" I mean, he was so pissed off. You think you're a tough guy pressing weights? Let's go, try me, come on! I mean, I was in between the two of them.
Heck no.
Acting like Earl Hebner in the old WWF. But the other time that he flipped out, was, I know I've told this story before on the air, but as an over-the-road truck driver his whole life, what really got to him is when there was no work. There were times he was on call his whole life. There were times when the phone just wouldn't ring. Business was slow, and he'd just sit there for 3-4 days. And what I'll never forget, this is when he was a little older. I was probably 30 or something like that. I stopped by my folks' place. My sister was already there. And there's my dad sitting there, and I knew that he hadn't gone to work for a few days, and I knew it was driving him crazy. And I walked into, simultaneously, my mother and my sister are busting his balls. My mother's saying, "Put a new shirt on. That shirt is dirty and disgusting. You've been wearing it." And my sister's like, "Dad, you said you were going to help me with this or that." So they're both just bombing him. And the old man's just sitting there staring off into the distance with that 1,000-yard stare. And they're both, "You should have done this. Why don't you do that?" And the old man finally goes, "Come on, phone! Effing ring!" Somebody call me! Put me behind the wheel of an effing truck! Do it now!
Living on a farm, you can see for miles when you look out, your window on the farm. And I broke curfew one night, not intentionally, and I was getting home maybe 45 minutes late or so. And I got home, and my dad was standing outside. The underwear is making me think of this. Standing outside in his underwear when I pulled in the driveway and said, "Bring the keys in, you're not going to need them for a while."
Oh, that was the worst.
And then when I got inside, he said, "You know why I'm why I'm grounding?" I was in 10th grade or something. "No, I'm grounding you from the car." And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm late." And he said, "Nope." He said, "How fast were you going down that gravel road on the way home?"
Oh, that's why you were upset.
Yeah.
You see the dust.
He was watching me come home and drive about 85 down that gravel road.
Oh,
trying to get
yeah.
home
Well,
quick.
now, did he wear underwear that fit?
No.
So your dad also looked like you were going to the world's worst Chippendale show?
Yep.
That's what the old man looked like.
It's so funny that you say that because my dad was the same way. I mean, he walked around in the white underwear, nothing else on. Just the underwear.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
In 9th grade, a buddy of mine, he grabbed his parents' car. He didn't have a license. None of us had a license. We took out his parents' car and got home late And the dad found out about it, and he was just standing by the garage waiting for us to show up. My friend was so nervous, he drove through the back of the garage.
Oh, my gosh.
We spent the first month of summer rebuilding a garage.
I wish I could roll out of that car.
Now, is that during a time, Josh, where there were no cell phones?
No cell phones, no.
Okay, so, I mean, that
I don't even think there were
anticipation.
pagers yet.
Right. So that I remember, doing stupid stuff too. It was that anticipation of, something is, when you get home, they're going to be somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be standing out front. They're going to be standing by the garage because you have no idea because there's no way there was no communication. So it was just that anticipation in your gut when you're driving back. I'm sure Brad felt the same way because, there's no phone. You don't know if they're waiting or not, but you have a pretty good idea they are. So it's just like, I wonder where he's going to be standing when I come around the corner or whatever.
The whole time you're driving home.
Exactly.
You can't call and you can't text.
That's
back
right.
Then. You're just hoping that they're sleeping. You're like, please let them be sleeping. Please let them be sleeping.
We thought we got away with it. We thought we were fine until we saw him. He's only about 5'6", but he's one of the most intimidating guys I've ever met.
Oh my
so that was terrifying, seeing him stand out there with his arms crossed and everything.
Lucky to knock you right out.
Crazy.
There's a douchiness to them.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, Minnesota. CJ Ham here. Huddle up for a second. You need someone to go the extra yard when your furnace is out? Give the ball to the certified pros at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. They've been at it for 90 years. Ready? Break.
Regular furnace maintenance can be your wallet's best friend, slashing energy bills and warding off those inconvenient breakdowns that seem to strike at the worst moments. Don't leave it to chance. Schedule your tune-up today at standardheating.com.
You loved Lala Kent on Vanderpump Rules. Now get to know her on Give Them Lala.
The Gen Zers, they love to be Gen Z, are calling Margot Robbie mid. On what planet is Margot Robbie a mid? Who's judging this? Are women judging it? The people with the forward haircuts?
Yeah. Don't bring my people into this. The people with the foreheads, babe.
We all agree that she's a 10?
Yes. Give Them Lala wherever you listen.
The Half-Assed Morning Show backtracks.
After our celebration, I went out to have a few drinks. On my way home, I was a little frustrated, upset, and I punched a wall. So that's how it happened.
Damn, that's a hell of a story. I can relate to that kid. I can. Randy Shaver is here. Hello, Randy.
Good morning.
Hello.
What do you know there, Hoss?
Hello.
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 I'm here. Hello.
Hello.
We can hear you. What, you can't hear us?
I think it's a bit.
I can hear you just fine.
Well, then why do you keep acting like you can't hear us?
Hello?
Okay.
It's wishful thinking.
What's your name?
And
headaches.
you are?
Hello?
You give me headaches in the head,
Is this
Randy.
the neighbor?
The good neighbor?
Jungle Jane is here, too.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hey.
Jungle Jane's got a busy day today. Randy, I want you to remember something, Randy. You recently invited me to your neighborhood. I generally know where you live. Stop effing with me. Because I'll make a deuce in your mailbox and drive out of there.
Oh, but it's a community mailbox, so that affects everybody. Don't do that.
Keep
Nick.
that in mind, then. You don't want to be the guy that caused it. Ask Cubby. He's seen me do it before. Jungle Jane, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
She was telling me off air she got a busy day today.
It's huge. Yeah. Nick's like, what's going on, Janelle? And I said, here's how lame I am. A busy day for me is that I have the dentist and a haircut all in one day.
Hey, that does sound busy.
I mean, huge.
She's going to get her hair did.
Don't discount that. That's
that's
too
a
much
whole
for one
thing.
day, to be honest. And
Yeah.
you're here?
That's like a 2-hour
And I'm here.
ordeal.
I know. Ashley, you relate.
Yeah.
It's an absolute undertaking.
Getting your hair done is a whole mission.
It is.
She's got a busy day, but yet she found the time to duck on in. We appreciate that. The intro there that Josh was playing. This is a hell of a deal. Not that we don't hear these kind of stories from time to time. Drinking can make some folks into animals. I've been there. Not like some of my buddies. I don't think I've reached some of those levels. But I can relate to this kid from the Milwaukee Brewers, Randy. The Brewers have had a terrific baseball season. But if they're going to make a run to the World Series, they might have to do it without, it looks almost certain they'll have to do it without this terrific relief pitcher by the name of Devin Williams. That's who you heard in the intro.
And he's really good, yeah.
He's outstanding. His numbers are great. Hell, he was the Rookie of the Year last year, I believe. Numbers are great. The guy, he fractured his hand punching a wall after the Brewers clinched the NL Central on Sunday. This was not in celebration. He told reporters he had a couple of glasses of hooch. Later that night, he got pissed about something, and then it happened.
It happens.
Had to be a girl.
That's probably a decent
It
guess.
always involves a girl when this happens, doesn't it?
Probably a decent guess.
Are you saying some men have punched walls over you, Janelle? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
God, no.
I hope so.
I think wars have been started.
I can believe that men have punched walls over it. You should see Janelle today. She's rocking a jean jacket.
Seriously.
Oh, look at you.
I mean, always bringing my A game to 93X. What can I say?
Yeah, you'd think maybe he'd have he must have been really gooned. You think you have the presence of mind to use your non-pitching hand.
God dang it.
You know, if that's your bread and butter.
And I guess the story I saw yesterday, he didn't say anything to anybody. He goes to practice, and he just figured, F it, I'll try to throw with this hand. And immediately, he's in terrible pain. Then he goes and tells the GM and whatnot, hey, look, I flipped out the other night. I guess this is some kind of fracture. There is an outside chance if the Brewers make it to the World Series, he could pitch. But, dude, did anyone watch the video? Josh, did you watch the video of Devin sitting there with the GM of the Brewers talking about what happened?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did he not look like he wanted to dig a hole 1,000 miles deep and just fall into it?
Yeah, well, he went on to, apologize to his teammates. I'd imagine a few of them probably weren't too excited about, why that happened.
Hell of a deal.
I mean, I guess good on him for being honest.
That's what I was just going to
And
say.
not blaming knuckle push-ups or something.
See, that's what you get when you got a PR guy that's a cut above Brad Ryder. You don't come up with knuckle push-ups, You guys have any good stories about? I mean, obviously, I don't want to hear any tragic. I punched my best friend in the face and we never spoke again. You had a few too many drinks, you flipped out, that kind of a story.
No,
Plenty of those.
I'm an annoyingly loving drunk.
You are.
I've never been an angry drunk.
Ashley, you have plenty of those stories.
I guess, a handful, yeah. People, I don't just randomly get mad. It starts somewhere, but I take it too far.
Is a woman involved? Oh, yeah, you're the woman.
Yeah.
Have you put holes in the walls?
Yeah, I put one. It's more of like
was it Kevin shaped?
I just push it through a wall.
Just like in the cartoons, the perfect silhouette of her husband going through a wall.
It's one of those things where you don't realize how strong you are, especially after you've had a couple.
Yeah.
Then you get this crazy drunk people strength. Yeah.
Was it a kick or a punch?
It was like a knee.
Whoa.
Yeah, that hurt for a while.
Yeah, you need the wall.
Then the next day you just feel like the biggest
idiot.
It's just a-hole in
Everybody's
the world.
been there.
Well, that's good, because there's people, there's people who would just be, I was drunk. What are you going to do?
Oh, no.
Not my fault.
No.
At least you didn't knee a guy in the nuts or anything like that.
At least I don't physically attack other people.
The one where I felt like the world's biggest jackass, this was St. Cloud State days, and every weekend somebody from my group of pals was going to jail for fighting. It was just a terrible thing. But that's what I remember, Dana, you said you never got in a fight at St. Cloud State.
No, not really, no.
That's crazy to me because that's all we effing did up there was drink ourselves sideways, fail with women, and fight.
Dana's more of a lover, though, so I could see him sweet-talking himself out of an altercation.
Yeah, if anything, if I see fights about I'm the peacemaker, I'm like, hey, God, you don't want to do this. Don't ruin your night. Don't do that.
Let me ask you this then. You had told us a great story. You have a few great stories about television shows. Mm-hmm. And you were telling us one off-air the other day And I want to know if alcohol was involved. You should tell that story. You know what I'm talking about?
We were talking about Lost, the show Lost the other day off the air. And we used to watch it in college. I think it was on like Thursday nights. We'd all get together. We'd all drink. We'd all watch it. And the show is all about cliffhangers. If you ever saw the show, it's just these massive, massive cliffhangers. And this one season ended, and my roommate was so pissed. He picks up his chair, and it had like metal like legs on the chair, and just whips it against the wall, and the thing just stuck in the wall. And we didn't get our damage deposit back because of the show Lost.
Was he drunk?
We were very drunk. The funniest thing is we'd have these big Lost watch parties on Thursdays, and then we go out to the bars because that was the big night in college, was Thursday nights, and we just get gooned. And then the next, well, at least my campus.
That's crazy.
And then the next morning, me and my roommates were like, what the hell happened on Lost again last night? We got to rewatch that. I don't remember what the hell happened.
Do you remember which one is the chair in the wall episode?
It was something about
like what? Just season
3 or 4. I want to say it ends with them blowing up a bomb that somehow like reset time. Or like,
I know. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Chair through a wall over an effing television show.
That's great.
What was like the vibe in the room after that went down?
Well, we were all just kind of stunned, and then Kevin Evers, like, we were all yelling, and then we realized, like, oh, he threw the chair. Oh, it's stuck in the wall. Holy crap.
Do you have any pictures of that?
I don't think so, because this was like camera phones were a thing back then, but not the kind we have now, where it takes like good pictures and uploads them immediately.
That's good.
Well, sports are people texting in on sports. They've definitely damaged things while watching a game.
Oh, yeah.
I love those.
You know the story about my buddy throwing a big stein of beer through the window. St. Cloud State Vikings playoff game, so it's December or January. Throws a big giant stein of beer through the window because Chris Carter dropped a pass from Sean Salisbury, right? And he acted as if he just sat back down. And we all said, what the hell's your problem? Friggin' Vikings. And we said, dude, you just broke a window. It's 10 below zero. Get off your ass. Go get some cardboard. Cover it up. But that's where I'm going with this, is if we weren't fighting on the sidewalks with other college guys, we were destroying the house. We were just young and stupid, couldn't keep our cool, and we drank too much.
This person says, can't find him while trying to hang something on the wall, but with my luck, I'd go to punch the sheetrock and hit a stud.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a friend do that. We were in a college basement, and he's just punching holes in this crappy sheetrock. And he's like, oh, let me try. And he winds up and just smacks the stud, broke his hand.
He broke his hand?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Oh, man.
There's one of those ones where he was drunk, but he knew immediately. He was just looking at it, and he's like, ah.
So this thing's got so out of hand up there back in the day that I felt like I was going to do something about it, right? Like I was any more mature than the rest of them. So I don't know, we were pre-gaming it, having a few Steve Weisers before we went out to the bar. And I said, everyone going to jail and tearing doors off the walls, it's ridiculous. We got to stop this. So I said, I'm going to go buy a keg. It's on me. That's a big deal when you're 20, right? 21. I'm going to go get a keg. It's on me. No one has to pay me any money. I'll plant that sumbitch out in the garage, and we'll just stay here tonight, okay? No going out, because someone's going to go to jail. There were guys who had been to jail multiple times. If it happens one more time, they're going to... So I said, that's it. At least for tonight, let's behave ourselves. So I go get this keg. I put it in the garage, and we're waiting, for some more people to come over before we bust it out. And finally, somebody said, "Hey, go, let's get that keg ready to go." Okay, I went out to the garage, and it was gone. It had been stolen.
Oh, sad.
And so what do? I punch a window.
Natural reaction. Yep.
So an hour prior, I'm preaching to everyone about how we gotta calm down and keep our composure. Right? We gotta calm down.
Composure.
An hour later, I go, hell yeah, it's keg time. I open the door, it's gone. I realize it's stolen, and I go, son of a bitch, and I punch my arm through a window.
I love it.
You want to talk about feeling like a jackass? And my buddies are like, weren't you just saying an hour ago that we should...
Shut up.
You're listening to the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, Backtracks. The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, Backtracks Edition.
Have any of you ever been big Saturday Night Live fans?
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I still watch it. I certainly was a bigger fan in the olden days.
Yeah,
but I do still watch it every Saturday, just in case there's something for the show.
Wapple, what's your version of back in the day?
I would say like when Will Ferrell and stuff was on there.
Okay, I don't know when that was. Late 90s then? Late 90s, right?
Somewhere around there.
I've seen the show like twice, maybe.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So, but have you seen a lot of the bits like on YouTube?
No.
And when Chris Farley was on there too.
Okay, mid 90s to late 90s.
Yep. I love the lunch lady bit.
I don't know the lunch lady bit.
Lunch lady land.
Yeah.
I've heard people say lunch lady.
Hoagies and grinders, navy beans.
Who did that? Who was the
Sandler and Farley was floating around as the lunch lady.
That sounds like something. Sounds like something Sandler would do.
I don't remember that one.
No, I've heard it said out loud. Yeah, for me personally, I was big into the Blues Brothers as a young guy, so I loved that bit. And then I've never been really huge on Saturday Night Live, but there was a stretch of time in the early 80s when I never missed it because of people like Eddie Murphy and things like that. Josh was just saying yesterday that the show wrapped up its 47th year or something like that. I mean, would that be the right math? They started in 75, and some cast members are moving on. I don't know who they are because I don't watch the show. I know you said it yesterday, Josh. I apologize, but...
Pete Davidson, Kyle Moody, Adie Bryant, and
Kate McKinnon.
Kate McKinnon.
Ranker had their subscribers vote for the best cast members of all time, and it looks like they've carved out a top 15 top cast members in the history of Saturday Night Live, and they start with Dinkus. Someone just said his name a minute ago, Adam Sandler. They start with Adam Sandler as the 15th best.
He had a good run on that show, early 90s.
Love Adam Sandler.
Can't stand the sight of him.
He's got his moments for sure.
From 90 to 95, Adam Sandler. At number 14, they go with Kristen Wiig.
Very funny.
Who has more talent in the tip of her pinky than 100 Adam Sandlers. Kristen Wiig was on that show for 7-8 years, 2005 to 2012. I really like her style. She's very, very funny. 13. Amy Poehler.
Yeah, she's great.
I don't have a problem with Amy Poehler, but there's a glaring omission on this list that I would have at least put there.
There's a few, Josh, because once I roll through the top 15 here, according to the folks who dial into ranker.com, I'm going to roll through some. Because my God, 47 years now, there have been so many people who have come and gone, some of them very quickly. But there have been so many cast members that I think really deserve a little more credit. I'm with you. I'm looking forward to hearing the grand omission that you were just
there's quite a few.
Yeah.
There's one that came to mind right away, and the more I thought about it, there's actually plenty that should have been higher up. But I know I think Ranker works where it's their readers vote.
Yeah, you can
right?
vote
Isn't
people
that how
up
it
and
goes?
down, yep.
Amy Poehler, number 13. Number 12, Bill Hader. Folks love Bill Hader, right?
Yeah, he's good.
Just heard him on Conan's podcast.
Yep.
Been loving the new season of Barry, that show where he plays the hitman.
I just started it.
It's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
It takes a while to get used to seeing Bill Hader run around as a precision killer because you're used to him just being the goofball that's cracking up on Saturday Night Live. But you can tell he put the training in. He looks legit with the guns in his hands.
Yep.
So it's not comedic in any form?
It's funny, like in a dark way.
Oh, dark comedy.
Oh, I like that.
All right. Well, I love dark comedies. Bill Hader, very funny guy. He was on the show for 6-7 years, 2005 to 2013. Number 11, Gilda Radner, who died very young, and I can't remember what killed Gilda Radner. She was one of the original cast members, 1975 to 1980. The one character I remember from Gilda Radner was Rosanna Dana. You recall that one, Josh?
Very funny.
It's like ovarian cancer, age of 42.
For Pete's sake.
That's not funny.
That's too young.
No. Number 10, Dana Carvey.
Yeah, president of the Male Dana Club.
He's the big guy?
Yeah, he's the big cheese. Yep.
Where does Dana White fall on that list?
Very far down the list. I don't care for that guy too much. we stopped inviting him to the meetings.
What about Dana Plato?
Oh, God, you're going to be mad at me because I don't know who that is.
That is...
Kick him in the wiener.
One wiener kick.
One of Cubby's first crushes, Dana Carvey. Dana Plato? I lost it.
I think it's Plato.
Plato, yeah. I don't know why I wanted to call her Dana Pluto. She played Kimberly on the hit sitcom Different Strokes.
Okay, I just looked her up.
Dana Carvey was never really my style. He was on the show for from 86 to 93, but I get it. Number 9, his partner in the, what was their combo again?
Wayne and Garth?
Wayne and Garth. We got Mike Myers at number 9. Had some great stuff on Saturday Night Live, Mike Myers.
Oh, I like him.
8 is John Belushi, an original cast member. He was on the show from 75 to 79 and died very young and horribly from drugs. I'm not trying to start trouble, but I never was all that crazy about John Belushi. And I'll get back to you on that. Number 7, Tina Fey.
I
She's
love
awesome.
her.
Legend.
Gosh, we were just talking about her.
Yeah, one of the funniest people around.
So good.
6, another guy who checked out awful young, although I believe my memory serves me, he was murdered, Phil Hartman.
Yep. Very, very funny
By
guy.
a Minnesotan.
Oh.
Sadly enough.
Gosh. Bad Minnesota.
He was on the show from 86 to 94, and the man was just terrific. His delivery was perfect, and he was great at playing deadpan type characters, Phil Hartman. 5, Dan Aykroyd from 75 to 79. And here's where I'll go back to the Belushi thing. For me personally, aside from Elwood Blues, I can't say that Dan Aykroyd really ever thrilled me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen old clips from him and stuff. Like the one that I always think of is when he was like a TV pitchman selling the Bassmatic 76.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Josh, your thoughts?
Yeah, I liked him enough.
I just never thought that he was the kind of guy that could really just stand on his own. Again, I'm the biggest Blues Brothers fan you'll ever meet. Belushi and Aykroyd together as the Blues Brothers were effing genius. Absolute genius. It's just beyond that, I really can't say that. 4 is Eddie Murphy from 80 to 84. And Eddie Murphy was, when he was young, it was just unbelievable. My favorite character being Mr. Robinson from Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood back in those days. 3, he wasn't on the show long, and during those years, he was more or less a kind of a second character. I don't know the term, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't.
The sketches didn't always revolve around him. He was kind of a secondary player in a lot
that
of
would
the
be
bits.
Bill Murrah.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Murrah, number 3.
I think he's that high on the list just because everything he's done since then. If we were talking just Saturday Night Live accomplishments, I don't think Bill Murray, as you call him, would be that high. Just because he was very short. He wasn't there for very long.
Very, very funny. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Bill Murray's one of the funny. 2 is Will Ferrell.
Mm-hmm.
He had some great stuff on Saturday Night Live. And number 1, they're going with Farley, who was wildly funny on that show.
Yeah, I can't argue with that one.
Mm-hmm.
So what cast member from the history of Saturday Night Live, Josh, who was the first one that came to mind that you thought, damn, they deserved a little bit better on that ranker list?
Well, 2, actually, the first one that came to mind, mostly because he recently passed, Norm Macdonald.
Oh, yeah.
I think should have been on. And Chevy Chase, who's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. You know, Chevy Chase was the star of the first season of Saturday Night Live. I don't think there was any question about that. But was he only on 1 or 2 seasons?
2 years.
It was just a couple.
Yeah, he didn't stick around long.
John Lovitz.
Oh, my God.
Kevin Nealon. David Spade.
Yeah, Spade was good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, was Martin Short was on Saturday Night Live, right?
Oh, my damn. Yes. Now, I never was a big Nealon guy, but if you listen to this program, you know Josh and I, John Lovitz, we don't need the man to say a word. John Lovitz. Martin Short was so incredibly funny on that show. He simply is one of the funniest men that have ever lived. Martin Short is an effing genius.
I mean, Kevin Nealon's Mr. Subliminal, that bit was genius, speaking of genius. I loved that bit.
What was Ed Grimley? Do you remember the character Ed Grimley that Martin Short portrayed on Saturday Night? Anybody?
Barely.
Oh, my God. I used to imitate that as a child. I loved Ed Grimley. He talked like this, and he said things like, I must say. If you're old enough to remember, you know what I'm talking about. I'm just going to roll through some of the other names. Jim Brewer. Now, I've never really dug his style, but everyone was crazy about Jim Brewer for a while on Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
I'm with you on that one. Yeah, he wasn't one of my. But he definitely had his moments. That's for sure.
Here's one that I just think too much time has passed for some of these names to be remembered. And I'm just going to imagine that the majority of people who are on Ranker are a little younger.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong because they did throw names like Gilda Radner and things like that into their top 15. Maybe I'm wrong. But Billy Crystal was incredible on Saturday Night Live for a couple years. Billy Crystal's characters.
God, I guess I never realized he was on there.
Oh, my damn. You look marvelous. Remember that one, Josh?
Love that one.
And I think his best bit on Saturday Night Live, and again, if you're a little younger, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about. I think it was he and Christopher Guest, who, part of Spinal Tap, Christopher Guest, and he was in, what was the dog show movie? Best in Show.
Oh,
and
yeah. Uh-huh.
Christopher Guest is lights out funny. He and Billy Crystal played the bumbling apartment repairman duo, Josh, where and it wasn't about what they did. They would have these conversations where Billy Crystal would say, when you're you're sawing at the webbing between your toes with an X-Acto knife, and then you pour some Tabasco sauce on top of it? I hate when that happens.
Yep, I know what you mean.
And then the other guy would say, it's like the other day I took one of those, and Billy Crystal would say, staplers? And he'd say, yeah, and I just started stapling my eyelids shut. I hate when that happens. If we could find some audio on that, that was... Jane Curtin was great as a straight character. Jane Curtin.
People are texting in Steve Martin. Now, he was never on the show as a cast member, was he?
No, he
was
not.
No.
Like a special guest and a host.
He's hosted like 15 times, damn.
Steve Martin was never a cast member. But I'm just going to bomb through some of these names, and some of them didn't last long. And some of them, they didn't last long for good reason. It just didn't work. But one of them would be Robert Downey Jr., who now is one of the biggest effing stars in the world. Chris Elliott.
I love Chris Elliott.
Is a genius.
I forgot he was on there.
It didn't last long, I don't think, for Chris Elliott. Maybe 1 year.
I was just quoting some Chris Elliott a couple days ago from Cabin Boy.
Oh, God, Cabin Boy.
That is so underrated. Although I wonder if I watch it now if I would think it was terrible. At the time, I really enjoyed it.
What was his sitcom where he lived with his parents?
Something Life.
Yeah, Get a Life.
Was that it?
Chris Elliott, Okay, Jimmy Fallon was on that show forever, was he not?
He was, yeah.
Was he just not that memorable, or what would you say? I never watched Jimmy Fallon on.
God, his bit with Sean Hayes, the Jeffries, or whatever it was.
I don't know that one.
They run an uptight store, and they tell everyone to get out of the store, and then Will Ferrell comes in with his small phone.
Okay,
I don't remember that.
Oh, it's so funny.
I think he was pretty polarizing on that show because he would break constantly. You mean he would start laughing during he couldn't contain himself.
Right. That makes sense.
Some people found that really endearing and kind of charming. Other people found it very, very annoying.
That's funny. That's the same thing with Kenan Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
I love Kenan Thompson, but people criticize him because he can't hold back his laugh. I think it's funny that the guy can't.
I think it's more accepted. I remember, I can't remember who I was listening to. Somebody from one of the casts had talked about how Lorne Michaels hated it.
Right, he would just freak out because he thought you were trying to draw more attention to yourself and you're taking away from the bit.
And then Jimmy Fallon kind of, I guess, loosened up that take. But yeah, he was by far the worst offender as far as that goes. I mean, he wouldn't just kind of crack a smile. He'd be crying. He'd be dying.
That's what he did in the Jeffries bit a lot.
Yeah, he could not keep it together.
Yeah.
More SNL characters. Will Forte. Don't you love him, Dana?
Yeah, I love Will Forte. Very funny guy.
Al Franken. Of course, Stuart Smalley is one of my favorite characters ever.
Tracy Morgan is coming in via text. He was funny.
Tracy Morgan was so funny, and I like I said, I only sporadically visited Saturday Night Live since the mid-'80s. Just once in a while I'd run into a little bit of this or that. One of my favorite bits of all time, Tracy Morgan is living under a manhole. He's living under the street, and Britney Spears visits him in his little manhole house. Anyone follow that?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, and he sings some song about a doo-doo pie? Oh, God. I think he ate a doo-doo pie. He was singing about eating a Gilbert Gottfried, the recently passed Gilbert Gottfried, he was not a regular, he was like a bit character, but I mentioned Christopher Guest. Anthony Michael Hall didn't last long. here's a guy who I think is very well thought of amongst comedians and comedy actors. Daryl Hammond.
Yeah, he was great.
Colin, is it Jost?
Jost, yeah, he's funny. He and Michael Che. Those guys, when they write jokes for each other,
that's the best.
It's awesome, but so uncomfortable.
So cringy.
Colin gets it the worst by far.
He's been on the show for a long time, this guy.
Yeah, he's the head writer right now, too.
Oh, really?
And he's married to what's-her-nuts?
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah,
Oh, that's got to be a total nightmare.
And he owns the most punchable face of all time.
He's a good-looking dude. I hear what you're saying, because he looks like a frat boy.
He does. He's got a very frat boyish vibe to him.
And he gets
for sure.
crap for that a lot.
Yeah, I know he owns it too. Like he brings it up himself.
This is an acquired taste, and I'm just throwing these names out there. I'm not saying that I was one way or the other. Chris Kattan was on the show for a long time. Had some decent stuff.
You know, plenty of texts are coming in with his name.
Seth Meyers, doesn't he host a show now?
Yep.
After Fallon.
Dennis Miller. Although I could never really get into Dennis Miller, but I mean,
I liked him on Saturday Night Live enough.
Yeah,
it's kind of after that.
Right.
I wasn't as much of a fan of what he was doing.
His news, he was the anchor on the Saturday Night Live news. I mean, that was where he found his groove. Joe Piscopo wasn't. I mean, he gets made fun of a lot, and he has been made fun of a lot for years. But his Frank Sinatra bit was unbelievable there in the 80s. Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was on the list. Maybe I just assumed he would be.
No, not on the top 15.
Should have been.
Another guy, I'm not familiar with much of his stuff, but I thought he just hit it out of the park when he was on Saturday Night Live, this Andy Samberg guy.
Yeah. Especially their, like those, what's the name of the group? Yeah, Lonely Island bits. Just yesterday, my wife and I were joking about D in the Box.
Yeah.
That's such a good bit.
I got to see those guys in concert when they played the Armory a few years back, and that was one of the funniest, best concerts I've ever been to in my life.
And I know,
just hilarious.
Dana, you love Cecily Strong.
Oh yeah, she's my girlfriend. She doesn't know that though. Yeah, she should be at least in the top 30, I would imagine. She's very funny.
And there's one more that I thought was interesting that it didn't get more votes, but there's so many people to choose from, and the top 15 that we read from Ranker, you can't really argue too much with most on the list, with the exception of Sandler, of course. This gal I've always found to be so funny, and that's Molly Shannon.
Yeah.
She's great.
Man, was she fun. She's still funny.
She was also recently on the oh my God, Conan O'Brien podcast. There's another, it's killing me that I can't remember her name, another very popular female, Maya Rudolph.
Yeah,
Maya Rudolph.
I had this one name I jotted down when we started talking about
really?
this.
Okay.
Yeah, she's great.
Mm-hmm.
But you got Native Restoration Jesus is texted in, and he says, all you got to do is say John Lovitz, and I crack up laughing.
Yeah, because you could picture his face.
Can't forget about Bill Hader. We didn't forget about Bill Hader. We mentioned him. He didn't make, or no, he was in the top 15.
Yep.
Something about this and that. Eat a doo-doo pie. Tracy Morgan sang to Britney Spears.
You're listening to the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, Backtracks.
Maybe you remember about a month ago or so, a story popped up in the Stupid News that discussed a company where the boss decided her employees deserved an extra 30-minute break every day to masturbate. The story was really kind of surprising until I learned that the company makes porn films.
And her name is Erica Lust.
Right. But anyway, the boss, Erica Lust, is back in the news to tell us that the 30-minute Jack or Jill off breaks are working for her and her employees and making them all better at their jobs.
30 minutes would be perfect. You could get the act done. Well, at least for me. I'll speak for myself. You could get the act done and have a nice little nap.
Nice 29-minute nap.
No doubt about it. Erica Lust. She's the head of Erica Lust Films. She's the boss. She even set up a masturbation station in the office for her staff to wail on themselves in.
Oh, I bet that's just filthy.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'd feel like somebody would be heading in there like, oh, Wessel's just in there? No, I'm good, actually.
Well, here's my question. Do you have to go one at a time? I imagine since it's the porn world, you don't.
Yeah.
You just walk in, hey, Donnie, hey, Jenny.
I've been to a masturbation station going through fertility stuff, where it was basically a room where that's all it was for. You know, and I had to wait when I was there the first time. They're like, all right, we'll have a room. You know, they're all being occupied right now. We'll let you know when we get a room that opened up. I don't know the sanitation procedures in between. It didn't seem like there was very much.
Did you make eye contact with the guy that came out, before you? Like, who was using
What do you mean came out?
Sorry. Who used the room before you did?
No, I didn't see him, luckily.
Okay. What? You should have shook his hand.
Hey, everything go good in there, pal?
What did it look like, a doctor's office in there?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know if I could do that.
Well, the first time, and I thought the same thing. But after a few times, it's like next to nothing. It's super easy, But
what do you mean? Why could you not do it if it looked like a doctor's office? I mean, you were single for 25 years. Couldn't you probably masturbate anywhere, anytime?
I don't know. It'd just be different in a doctor's office. Just those bright lights and just.
Well, I like the bright lights.
Nothing on the walls.
It's weird, Wapple. Like the first time I went in there, I didn't realize that's all they did there. It was it was in a hospital, and it was just part of it. I didn't know that that's the little masturbation station area. And I realized everyone's filling out the same green form, which I thought was weird. Like we all had the same form. And then I looked, and it's just a bunch of guys kind of staring straight down and then hugging the walls as they walked, and realized, oh my gosh, I'm in a masturbatorium or something. But Wapple, the room is... It's dimly lit.
Oh, I was going to ask that next.
Yes, there's a recliner, and there is a little table lamp. They have, on the wall, you can control some music, to drown out any noises.
Set the mood a little bit.
They have some porn mags from the late 1980s, early 1990s. And I was talking about this off the air. Our former coworker Ross went through some fertility stuff, too, and we realized we masturbated in the exact same room.
That's right.
Oh, no.
What a connection that is.
Different times.
It's like a different kind of Eskimo Brothers.
Yeah.
Boy, I bet he made a mess, too. I mean, I bet he tore the place to shreds just because he was such a big, dumb animal.
And he wouldn't clean it up after himself.
Yeah, I bet when he left, the chair was overturned.
Yeah.
He had his own movies saved.
The magazines were, the pages were shredded. I mean, I can just see him just, just turning it into some kind of a one-man, one-hand frat party.
But when everyone outside, and there's people in looking like doctors and stuff, and everybody's out there and they know exactly what's going on, that is difficult.
I bet. Yeah.
I bet you when Josh
but then you become
left,
good at it.
You became very good at it.
Yeah,
I'm sure you did. I mean, I bet you when Josh left, the place looked cleaner than when he came in.
Pretty much.
That's true too.
As opposed to that, I don't like to say his name out loud. The dude that quit on us.
Well, he retired.
I bet pictures had been torn from the wall. The window was shattered.
Now, here's the thing, Wapple. That particular place had the little hidden door, inside the room. You open your side, put it in there, and then they open their side, right?
Yep.
There was another place where you had to bring it with you and hand it to someone when you walked out.
That's uncomfortable.
You got to hand it off to someone.
That was one of the more humiliating, because then you're thinking, am I being judged for what I've created?
Okay. You were worried about whether your amount was being judged.
Right.
Here's the semen, sir.
One semen, please.
Were these rooms soundproof?
I don't think so. But, I mean,
Well, I
I'm
mean, it's
going
not-
to say no because I could hear what was going on outside.
I mean, it's not like any dudes are going to be in there going, oh.
Well,
you know what I
you
mean?
might.
I thought
You've
about
told
you,
us
Nick.
before that you are a loud orgasmer.
In that situation, I think I could probably control myself. Wouldn't that be something if a dude just went,
Owie! Ouch! It hurts!
oh boy, this is going to be a good one. It's time to let the cat out of the bag. The long orgasm guy we've been playing on this radio station for years is me.
Oh, yuck.
It's me.
I had to record it.
I had to help him get there.
Wapple was there holding a microphone. Josh was holding something else.
Microphone shaped. Wapple was looking at his watch at this point like, are you serious?
Can't
One
you kind of
semen,
tell?
please.
You can kind of tell. once I let folks in on that. I think it'd be great if when you are entering the masturbation station, Josh, over there at that clinic, and a dude is leaving, I think it would be great if he had to tag you in.
You do like a Jeep wave or something.
Just like in wrestling, just quick hand tag, you're up, son.
Well, like sometimes in basketball, when a player comes off the bench to sub in, like they bring a towel and they hand it to the guy that they're subbing in for.
Yeah.
Maybe like nice little towel pass.
Oh,
Gatorade.
Great and Bad Guy had a similar experience. He said, same deal. First time, could barely do it. Second, third time, had it down.
Mm-hmm. I got listeners texted in saying their neighborhood fertility clinic is very comfortable. They rated it a 5 out of 5. So that's nice that you can go there and eventually get comfortable. Maybe some of you are comfortable right away. It wouldn't need to be anything special for me. I could rip one out damn near anywhere.
I don't know if it'd be as easy as you think in that situation.
Really? All right. I guess I don't know. I've never been in one of those joints.
Are you only allowed to use it if you're trying, fertility issues, or if you just, you're passing by and you got some time to kill? Can you just pop on in?
The first 5 times it had nothing to do with fertility issues. I just saw a sign
in the neighborhood.
You walk in there, Josh.
Listener texted in and said, "Rest in peace, Ross. May he eat all the Pop-Tarts in the sky." How long has he been gone now? A little over a year?
Yeah, Mark.
Wow.
Right before the lockdowns and the world ended.
Oh, yeah, because he caused it all. I remember that.
It was like maybe 2 days before all that happened. It was Friday the 13th last year. March 13th.
Man.
I think that was a Friday the 13th.
So we were talking about this porn company who lets folks take a 30-minute break every day, go to a masturbation station, and have an orgasm. And the boss over there, Erica Lust, said last year has been hard on everyone.
Stop. Nice.
And that was kind of the reason why they did this. You're not obligated to take your 30-minute masturbation break. You're not. As an employee of Erica Lust Films, you can say, no, that's fine. I'll just continue to work. But if you want to, and you don't necessarily have to masturbate. God knows what's going on in their break room at a porn company.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But what a hell of a deal. She's one of those people who goes this way. I would recommend people to take time to masturbate. I get a kick out of these people who are like, you know what you should do? You should have sex. Oh, God, I never thought of that. You know what you should do? You should masturbate. Yeah, we know. Let it go. For Pete's sake. There you go. Masturbating at work.
Well, she said it's been better.
Yeah, people are happy. I'm happy for them. Josh,
I've never felt the need to masturbate at work.
No, but you've noticed here a couple times at 93X that there are folks who don't need the boss's permission to beat off at work.
No. Unfortunately, I've
so crazy.
It is.
Caught 2 separate people doing that here, and
it is that's
I think we probably have an anti-masturbation at work policy, I would imagine.
I'm sure it's in the fine print.
And if in fact you haven't heard these stories, we're not talking about someone ducking into the bathroom. That's a totally different animal.
No, these are in the studios.
Yeah. If you, for whatever reason, you have the itch like there's no tomorrow and you have to go into the ladies' or the men's room and blast one loose, okay. We're talking about folks just in a common area. That's like a sick person, if you ask me.
Dana, you see where Wapple is right now?
Yeah.
That's the spot.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And you know what? The chairs.
and one of the dudes that you caught doing this, I ran into him a few years ago. And I just wanted to, of course, I'm not going to, it was a party scene. I didn't want to embarrass the guy, but I badly wanted to say, what the hell's the matter with you?
I didn't tell anyone for years.
Did he try to give you a high five?
No.
He didn't know Cubby was standing there.
He didn't know because I was walking into where the studio Dana's at right now. and that light was off, but the light was on in your studio, Wapple. So, you can't really see in there.
Mm-hmm.
But so I see some motion out of the, my peripheral vision, and I kind of realize, I think somebody's watching porno. And then I looked over, and he was doing what he was doing. So I just dropped down beneath the window there. An army crawled out. I was so embarrassed.
I can't even fathom walking in on something like that. Like all of the jobs I've had, it's just crazy to me that this happens here.
That's the third time I've caught a grown man masturbating in my life.
That's not right.
It's not like I'm walking into masturbatoriums or anything.
Right.
These are places that a person should reasonably expect not to catch a guy masturbating.
Right.
It's going to be a great day at work.
These are some sick puppies.
Now, I've only really worked in radio in my adult life. This has to be radio specific. I can't imagine there's too many industries in which one person could catch multiple of their coworkers.
I would say you're probably right, Dana. I never caught anyone touching themselves at the warehouse. While we were driving forklifts, no one thought, well, I'm just going to rub one out here as I'm loading this truck with... Here's a listener who said, post-vasectomy, they've texted in, they say, post-vasectomy, I had to give a sample. The front desk lady at this masturbatorium, grabbed a box for me to put my sperm sample in. She handed me a semen box. I acknowledged the joke. She was not amused.
What? How do you not be amused by that? Well, maybe she's heard it a million.
Yeah.
There's a douchiness to them.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, Minnesota. CJ Ham here. Huddle up for a second. You need someone to go the extra yard when your furnace is out? Give the ball to the certified pros at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. They've been at it for 90 years. Ready? Break.
Regular furnace maintenance can be your wallet's best friend, slashing energy bills and warding off those inconvenient breakdowns that seem to strike at the worst moments. Don't leave it to chance. Schedule your tune-up today at standardheating.com.
Afford Anything talks about how to avoid common pitfalls, how to refine your mental models, and how to think about how to think.
If people are bringing a lot of hours to their work, there can often be a multitude of reasons for that. One might be that you over-identify with your work, which is internal, right? One might be that your bosses have a heavy expectations of you, and that's external. Another one, which is also external, might simply be that you need the money. Afford Anything, wherever you listen.
You're listening to the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, Backtracks.
Next up in the stupid news is a woman who knitted a poop blanket. And it's not what you might be thinking. It's still very odd, but that's TikTok for you. Anything to be noticed. I'll try to explain this to you without vomiting at times. A TikTok person who goes by the name of Madwill, Madwil. Over the course of the year 20 plus 22, she did and knitted her way to create a blanket. It was her take on something that's been trending on TikTok called a temperature blanket. Anyone familiar with the TikTok trend, the temperature blanket?
No.
No. Fair enough. The idea apparently behind the temperature blanket is crocheters add a line of yarn each day based on the weather outside. Ideally, they're left with a multicolored blanket of many wonders, it says here. Oh, it was very cold today. I'll knit some blue. It wasn't that cold. Light blue. It was warm. Orange, red. You following that?
Yep.
That's at least my guess. This Madwill had a different idea. She decided to track her bowel movements throughout the year.
What? Just let the man finish.
Yeah, gosh. Quit jumping to conclusions, Wapple.
Can't believe you guys. She decided to track her bowel movements throughout the year by taking the same concept used for the temperature blanket and applying them to her blanket.
Unfortunately, I'd only be able to give you a beach towel. I'm jealous that she can make a whole blanket.
My God, I could make the tarp for Target Field.
I'm so jealous. So jealous.
It never stops some days. What day is it today?
Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday.
But we had Monday off, right?
Yeah.
I bet I was in and out the John 7 times. She said,
You got to get a bidet. I bet it's raw down there.
Yeah, things would hurt. Toilet paper budget's astronomical.
Oh, it is.
Dab, dab, dab.
I buy toilet paper like Dana buys Mario Brothers memorabilia.
Yeah, you can't just get like the 6-pack. You have to get for like the 36-pack.
2 words, Cubby. Dude wipes.
Oh, yeah. I forget about that kind of.
They help my situation. Anyway,
I'll bet, yeah.
This gal said, and by God, and I got to warn you, this is really troubling. 1 row a day. Okay, that's what she would stitch or knit. 1 row a day. The color of the yarn was determined by the number of craps she took the previous day. And the texture of her poop determined the stitch.
That is disgusting.
I'm guessing if it was...
I wasn't expecting to fall in love, but here we are.
Josh, no.
I'm guessing that if it was a smooth release, the texture of her yarn would be... But if it was... If it was a bit of a rough push, then the...
She doesn't look like she'd be the type.
She doesn't. She looks very like sweet and innocent.
Yeah, I'd like to see if I saw her on the street. Like I wouldn't think that this is what she does in her free time.
Oh, artsy fartsy, I bet.
There's no way you would determine this by the sight of anyone, I don't think. Do we have pictures up on the website?
Yes.
Check it out on our website. She documented her progress throughout the course of the blanket's creation. She documented this on TikTok.
I got to say, some of the red strands are concerning to me. There's more than I'd like to see.
Well, and it's like, it looks like this 1 week, she had a bad week.
Rough texture, rough coloring.
Rough texture and colors for sure.
As you might imagine, it took a while for her to gain a following on TikTok, but she kept going, so to speak.
How do you get blue?
After a while, maybe it took a while.
Blueberries.
Oh, blueberries.
Honestly, I think blueberries does that.
No,
Purple Gatorade?
Grape drink.
Grape drink.
Or Oops All Berries.
Oops All Berries.
Oh, Oops All Berries does.
I was hoping you'd say that.
After a while, she did begin to gain supporters for her poop blanket. Her fans called themselves Heads. Eventually, millions of people were in on this nonsense, checking to see the progress of this gal's turd-related blanket.
Now, crocheting and stitching and stuff, that became really big over the pandemic, did it not?
Yeah, it did. Definitely.
I thought it just blew up.
Yeah, a bunch of my friends picked it up.
That and making sourdough bread.
Yup, with their own, like, what's the base or whatever that people were making? It's gross.
I don't know. Somebody gave me sourdough bread for Christmas. I didn't know that was like a thing.
Yeah, over COVID, a lot of people were making sourdough bread.
Funny.
And yes, thank you. I'm getting text messages. I don't flush dude wipes. Thank you for the text, but yeah, I don't. You're not supposed to flush those.
He gives them to me.
Comes in with a plastic baggie every day.
Hey, you worked hard yesterday, kiddo.
Yeah.
I'm making Josh a pair of sweatpants. So she worked on this poop blanket all of the year 20 plus 22, I think. By the end of December, it was all done. The blanket was filled with many different colors and stitching variations. In case you care, I'm about done with this, but in case you're dialed in. Oh, you were wondering about the blues, Wapple?
Mm-hmm.
Each blue stripe marked a month.
Oh, okay.
And the multicolored stripes in between symbolized her bowel movements. All right, I got to give her credit here. At least she acknowledges how ridiculous this is. When it was all over, she said, I finished my blanket. It's like a temperature blanket, but disgusting.
So she's self-aware.
Could you imagine bringing home a boyfriend? Oh, that's a lovely blanket. Where'd you get the idea for that?
Well, I guess that's how if you're a young lady with her own poop blanket, that's how you tell what dudes are going to accept you right away and what dudes are not.
Good point.
It's a conversation starter.
That's true.
It's like that gal who farted here in the office in front of me. You know,
and you guys are still dating to this day.
I don't know. I'd assume if somebody made that like she did, and she stuck with it for the full year, that I'm going to end up dead wrapped in that thing in a dumpster somewhere.
I agree.
That's a little on the nutty side.
That's a hell of a deal right there. I tell you.
Commitment.
A hell of a deal.
The half-assed morning show backtracks.
How many of us? How many are here? 6 people? 6 people. How many of us think we've seen a ghost?
I do not believe I've ever seen a ghost.
No.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You're not supposed to be able to see them, right?
I hear my house is it makes all kinds of weird noises, but I just assume it's because my house sucks and it's falling apart. And there's some fact behind that.
All right, I'm going to get back to ghosts here in just a minute. This is interesting. Talking about awkward movie watching experiences, television show watching experiences. We were specifically talking about our parents, but it can be awkward in different ways. Here's a listener who says, I watched the sex scene from Monsters Ball in between 2 strangers on an airplane.
Oh, my God.
And that is an aggressive-ass sex scene.
I've never seen that movie. Is that the serial killer one, or is that something different?
No, that's a Rudy John Perpovich. Billy Bob Thornton and Halle Berry just destroy each other's gear on the floor of a trailer house.
I get uncomfortable watching that by myself.
Oh, it's that graphic?
I mean, not that I watch it often, but when I did see the movie, I was sitting by myself like, this is uncomfortable.
I think we just found out Dana's go-to whack-off movie.
So disturbing.
All right. I didn't mean to get us off in a tangent then. Back to ghosts. 1,000 Americans were asked. 19% of them say they've seen a ghost.
When I've had sleep paralysis, one of the times I saw like a figure, but I don't know. Does that count? I think those are like supposed to be like demons or something.
A figure.
Well, if you think it's a ghost, yeah.
Did it say this? Did it say Ashley?
I have a friend who's convinced there's a ghost in his house, but he hasn't seen it. But he's convinced.
Ashley, you're running late for work. Your friend's convinced he's got a ghost there, but hasn't seen it.
The whole family, they believe they've got a ghost there.
All right, here's a few more.
But one of the kids supposedly saw it.
I don't like that. Trust kids.
Yeah, the kids and the dogs always seem to have a connection, don't they? At least in the movies.
Yeah.
my girlfriend thinks that our place is haunted, or my cat can see dead people, because she'll be like looking at weird corners of the house and different parts of the room, and she's like, "Oh, that's a ghost."
Yeah, it's a stupid cat, is what it is. My cat will stare at a wall for hours just because he doesn't even know what he's looking at.
Or a bird. Then they get that.
What's that? I don't know what that is. I don't have a cat.
I know what it is, but it's too dorky to get into, I think, Wapple.
Yeah, way too dorky.
So 19% of Americans say they've seen a ghost. Here's a few more stats on things we've experienced but can't explain. Josh, you know what we experienced together?
What's that?
And we probably still can't explain if someone asked us? The Metallica documentary, Some Kind of Monster. We saw it together. I still can't explain it.
That may be uncomfortable for different reasons.
Most who've seen a ghost say it's happened multiple times. 9% say it's only happened once. Text us 68683. Start your stinking message with Nick, Josh, or Dana if you really honestly think you've seen a ghost, and tell us whatever you think we need to know. So most who have seen a ghost say it's happened multiple times. 9% say only once. There's a 50-50 chance you'll know the ghost that you encounter. All right, I can see how that would be cool. Yeah. Hey, Aunt Jen, you know. Or maybe it'd be a famous person. Hey, Mike Jackson. And I would say, dude, what happened, bro? What the hell happened?
Kind of went off the rails there, man.
Get a little out of control, dude. Okay, 50-50 chance you'll know the ghost.
Scene Clean Jesus says 100% have seen ghosts while in crime scene cleanups.
Oh, I don't like that.
I bet they have some stories.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he's told us before.
Most of them are semen stories. They are.
Yeah.
This person says, my bedroom has a ghost in it. Both me and my girlfriend have seen him. I've also been walked through in the middle of the night.
You know, the ghost stories I hear the most, and if anyone's listening that went to school here, but I have had many friends who attended the Aveda Institute in Northeast Minneapolis in that old building.
My daughter went there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, does she have any stories?
I'm not a very good parent.
No.
I don't. She might even not have gone there. I thought she said something about it once. No, she's never told me a story about that.
Apparently, it's really haunted, and a lot of people have stories about that. They won't go in certain areas of the building. Nobody wants to be there at night. I don't know if anyone listening has that, but please text in, because I hear that all the time.
I'll text her real quick and ask. This person says, I was told I was haunted by ghosts when I was in 5th grade. She said I was surrounded by a ton of ghosts.
My girlfriend just said that she went to Aveda and it's 1,000% haunted, the top floor.
Really?
What about a little kid? What'd you say, Josh? A 5th grade kid, something?
Yeah, 5th grader. Somebody texted in and said when they were in 5th grade, someone told them that they were surrounded by ghosts.
Not something
I guess that's kind of cool.
Is that a reference to that Bruce Willis movie?
I could be, I guess.
Oh. So there's a chance you'll know the ghost.
I was told I had like a ghost watching over me. And it's the ghost of, oh my gosh, Heath Ledger. By our former psychic lady.
Oh, God, with that psychic lady.
Heath Ledger.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
There was a psychic?
We used to have a psychic on this show that would just piss me off to no end with her nonsense. But yeah, she used to always claim we had famous ghosts hanging around. She told Josh that the ghost of Heath Ledger was specifically watching over him.
Why are you so special you get Heath Ledger?
Don't come after me. You're acting like
Heath Ledger?
You're acting like I'm the one running around being this badass. She just said that. She was nuts.
Who, by the way, he was also in the movie Monsters Ball. Dana whacks off to it.
That's the part he whacks off to.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was just joking around a minute ago about Mike Jackson's ghost, and I would like to meet Michael Jackson's ghost someday. That would be interesting. Hee hee. Shamo. This psychic lady used to always claim there were famous ghosts hanging around our studio. I think one of them she used to claim was Mike Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
And the other one was Elvis Presley.
Yep.
She couldn't go like mid-range famous singers, but apparently the two biggest artists of all time were hanging around our... Most ghosts are nice, according to people who have had encounters. Most of them are nice. 40% of people who've had encounters said they've been good, friendly. 7% said the ghost was evil.
Well, I don't want that, but I feel like I'm missing out. So many people are texting in saying they have seen ghosts, or they currently live someplace with ghosts. HLFD Mexican Painter Jesus says no ghost, but bad car accidents and medical calls when someone dies. There is a presence there. Ask any medic or EMT.
Come on. Straight Pipe Jesus says he's got like 1,000 ghosts at all times. You got to know that old story. Thinking your house is haunted is common. 1 in 4 Americans think they've lived somewhere haunted. Maybe you've never seen a ghost, but you may have sensed one. Josh was just saying something about a presence. 37% of us say we felt a presence afore.
That's a scary feeling. I've definitely felt that feeling at my house on Bayport, because I swear that place was haunted. I always felt like I was never alone.
Who's there?
Freaked me out. I hated being alone in that house. Like I would never shower if I was the only one home. Just freaked me out.
29% of us have heard the voice of someone who wasn't there. 28% of us have felt an unexplained change in temperature. Isn't that the rumor that when it's really cold? Mm-hmm. Oh, I can relate to this. 30% have smelled an unexplained odor. Music they couldn't explain. Lights or other electronics have turned on and off on their own. Now, some of this I have experienced, and I can tell you about it after we take a break.
My TV just did that to me last night. It was weird. It would come on for a second, and then it went off. And then it would come on for a second, went off.
Objects that move on their own. A door, open or close by itself. Like I said, I have experienced some of this. I'm not going to call it a ghost, but it certainly was weird.
We are now inside the house where the celebrity ghosts have been spotted. Whoa, what was that? What was that?
What was what?
Is there a spooky ghost here? What is this? What is this? There's a wetness coming from my pants. I see it. What is it? Oh, God, I'm so scared. Look, it's got you, too. Are you getting this? Make sure the camera is getting this. Definitely some paranormal activity. It's a warm, moist sensation that's moving down my left thigh. Look, it's starting to form a pool around the floor now. Are you getting this?
Are you guys serious?
Oh, God, the paranormal activity is now leaving a trail of some kind behind both of us. Something hot and warm is coming out the back of my pants now. Oh, it smells.
Jesus Christ. Been talking about ghosts here on the Half-Assed Morning Show with our guest, Janelle Kleinsky.
Creepy stuff.
Some of you have some creepy stories. We asked the listeners to text us some stories. Before we get to that, Josh, did you notice it suddenly has become very, very cold in this studio?
It's freezing in here.
It's Heath Ledger.
Please let it be the ghost of Anna Nicole Smith. And she's had a few drinks. Please let it be. Some of you have some creepy ghost stories. We asked you to text in. What'd they send over your way, Cubby?
Okay. This one says, so I have an older brother who passed before I was born. But when my other older brother and I were playing in our parents' basement, we ran into him downstairs. We sprinted upstairs, and my mother said she saw him as well.
F me running.
We were talking about Nicole. Anna Nicole.
There she is.
Oh, she just said something about you, Nick.
What did she say?
She wants me to murder you so the two of you can be together.
Sweet.
Go ahead and do it, son.
I was working in the attic of a church in mid-June. It was a stagnant 115 degrees. But then I suddenly felt like I was standing in the middle of winter. And an overwhelming sense of sadness hit me to the point I had to leave the job and take a breather in my work truck.
Wow. An overwhelming sensation of sadness?
Yes. That's from Poop to My Pants, Jesus. My wife, before we met, she was in a dark place, and she used to see a shadow with red eyes. Thought nothing of it until her 4-year-old asked her what it was.
Oh, I just got the chills.
That's chilling. I used to have imaginary friends when I was a child that used to move things around the house. For example, one time there was a bowling ball that got pushed off a shelf. I was sleeping. There was an Ernie toy that kept going off even when we took the batteries out. One night outside, saw tall, dark figures moving slowly and quickly between some bushes. Also witnessed a semi-transparent little boy sitting on a Playmate yard slide. He was wearing a striped shirt and suspenders, waving at me and others.
Come play with us.
Some other things, some demonic voices on a baby monitor, voice rambling in my ear. Every time I try and explain this scene, I always come across as kooky. Ha, they say.
Damn.
My mom texted and said she thinks she saw the ghost of her dad a year after he died.
Yeah,
I'm waiting to hear back about Aveda. Oh, wait, maybe I get...
What was it about Aveda again?
Go ahead, Janelle.
Well, Wapple just was sharing something, right, Wapple?
Yeah, so my girlfriend said that a lot of people stay off the top floor. And she said that when you're on the top floor, you can kind of see stuff out of the corners of your eyes. You can hear a guy laughing, and some people even had their hair played with.
This is the Aveda Institute.
Yep.
Just because you believe everything she says doesn't mean we're going to.
And you know how kids are so expressive, young people. I had texted my
the
daughter.
Young children, yes.
I asked if it's haunted, and she got back with this lengthy reply, yes.
Thank you for the elaboration.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
You know, we have to get off the air at 9. I wish you wouldn't have dragged that one out.
Well, we know we'll open the show with tomorrow.
Have the two of you been having communication problems?
No, that's about how it goes.
Well,
I get back the same short response.
Thank you for texting in, everybody who had a little bit of a ghost experience. I'm reading things. Again, we said earlier, it always seems to be the children who are tuned into this kind of thing, and I got a couple of texts on that. A mother whose little boys would wake up laughing in the middle of the night, and they would go check on the boys and say, yeah, what are you two up to? And the little boys would say they were talking to the other little boy in the corner.
That would freak me out.
Yeah. One night I was lying in bed. I was awakened by a little figure walking through the room. It was Josh's mom getting up to take a pee.
Oh, God.
I work in a warehouse. Work in a warehouse by myself. He sees faces in the windows, and he hears his name getting called. When I was a little baby, my parents told me I would stare down a long hallway and laugh my ass off. And they didn't know. Here's a listener who says, I hope if I ever have a ghost in my home, it treats me like Ray from Ghostbusters.
Oh, sure.
But anyway.
It was only a couple of years ago that I realized what was happening there. I didn't pick up on that.
It's BJ.
Yeah.
So I was telling you earlier that I do have some stories I can share on this topic. In the house that I grew up in, there was a door that would open and close on its own. When my sister was getting towards the end of high school, because she did the right thing. She moved out, I think, 20 minutes after she graduated high school. She got the hell out. So she lived in the basement. And once she left, I took her spot. And before I moved into the basement, she said, it's weird down here. Weird things happen. And I was like, okay, I was 16 at the time. I'm a tough guy, right? I'm not. So what? I'll be fine. And she said, keep an eye on the storage room door. It opens and closes on its own. And it did. It did. I was fascinated by it. I had friends come over, and I'd say, okay. There was a couch right by this storage room door. And I'd tell my buddy, because he'd spend the night, drink a few beers, spend the night. Lay on the couch, and I would shut that storage room door, and I'd say, now watch, when we wake up, it will be open. And we're the only two people in the house. And sure as hell, it would happen. So I don't have any idea why or what the hell it was all about. I've always stopped short of calling it a ghost, but that door would open and close on its own. So I can relate to a little bit of this stuff. The lights would turn on and off now and again, but it was mostly that effing door. And this all started when we were talking about 1,000 Americans were asked about whether they've seen a ghost, and 19% say they have.
I would have thought it'd been higher.
Yeah, me too.
Scary stuff, huh, Janelle Klein?
I'll say.
Scary stuff.
So this buddy of mine, I was telling you that is convinced this house is haunted. I thought, oh, that's kind of a creepy story. The kids see it, that kind of stuff. Until he told me its name was Greg, and that just kind of killed it. You know what I mean? Like, Greg's just come across as nice people to me. I'm not going to be scared of a Greg.
Yeah, right.
They seem like they're good folk.
It'd be totally different if the ghost said his name was Bartholomew or something.
Right.
Oh, my God, Bartholomew.
Damien.
You must be from the 1600s. Greg, what, you die in the late 80s? What's going on here?
Yeah, he just seemed like a good guy,
Yeah, did you ever ride a skateboard? Did you break dance, Greg? What did you do when you were alive?
There's a douchiness to them.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, Minnesota. CJ Ham here. Huddle up for a second. You need someone to go the extra yard when your furnace is out? Give the ball to the certified pros at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. They've been at it for 90 years. Ready? Break.
Regular furnace maintenance can be your wallet's best friend, slashing energy bills and warding off those inconvenient breakdowns that seem to strike at the worst moments. Don't leave it to chance. Schedule your tune-up today at standardheating.com.
Movies, TV shows, books, podcasts, and more. It's What Women Binge with Melissa Joan Hart and her friend Amanda Lee.
Talking about the SAG strike.
A large portion of SAG lives on their residuals. When I did Nickelodeon, I, since 1993, haven't seen a dime on Clarissa.
Right.
And they want me to come promote it when it launches on Paramount Plus or it's back on Nickelodeon. And it's like, I would love to, but they won't pay me. So I'm like, I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to work for free when there's no benefit for me.
What Women Binge, wherever you listen.
Listening to the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, Backtracks.
There's a thread online where people are talking about the cranky boomer opinions, okay, that they actually agree with. And this isn't the millennial versus boomer thing that was so hot, whatever, a couple of years ago, where everything was okay boomer, and I can't remember all the gimmicks that went along, but I think most folks know what I'm talking about. There was that big boomer versus millennial trend for a while. This is a little different. People are talking about the cranky boomer opinions that they actually agree with, and it's people of all ages who are validating boomer takes, as they say these days.
Ooh, boomer
takes, okay? See what you think of this.
By the way, real quick, the brother and sisterhood, our brethren, tell me that we're Gen X.
Okay.
That sounds cooler.
appreciate all your help. I will forget that by 7 a.m., I'm sure. I don't know why. I can't keep track of all that stuff, but thanks for We Are Gen X, meaning you and I?
You and I, yeah. I believe we're both same generation.
Okay, then just for the record, what about the younger people here?
I have absolutely no clue.
I'm a millennial.
I'm a millennial.
And then I think Ashley is Gen Z, they call it.
Okay. Dang, I made myself younger than I am.
Right. So, I mean, the youngest person here is Ashley. She's what, 25?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Wapple
Gen Z.
is 30.
Mm-hmm.
Dana's 37 or 38.
37.
Cubby is
47.
God, you're still so stinking. I thought you were closer to. I'm 51. But we collectively we are 3 different groups.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
That's cool.
That's effing me up. Okay. Boomer opinions that people of all ages agree with. Here are 10 keepers. People share way too much on social media. That's a boomer take, but everyone agrees with it. And how could you argue that? Social media is such an absolute flaming pile of garbage.
Okay, Gen Xer. Jeez, listen to this guy.
Oh, you just got roasted.
No, it is crazy how much people share on social media. I mean, there's people in my life that it kind of surprises me.
It's just garbage, me, listen to me, look at me. I can't stand it.
I got to say, I even find out stuff about my family from other people who are like, yeah, I saw so-and-so posted this on Facebook or whatever. Or, hey, I hear you got this coming up. I'm like, how the heck would you know something like that? And then I find out it's on social media.
Here is my favorite thing about social media, and I bet you every one of you knows somebody like this. Everything they talk about relates to social media, right? You run into them at the bar, you run into them at a ball game, and they say, hey, did you see that Donnie got married? And I would say, oh, no, really, Donnie got married. And they say, yeah, saw it on social media. You'll run into them 2 days later. Hey, did you hear about that story in Minneapolis? And you'll go, no, I didn't hear about yeah, a guy did this and this. And then I might say, well, how'd you find that? I saw it on social media, okay? So everything that they bring up is related to social media. And then I will ask them, hey, I heard on social media someone was saying this or this, and they'll say, I never look at that stuff. Or you'll call them out for being a social media person, and they go, I never look at that. I'm never on Facebook. I don't even know what you're talking about. It's a weird deal where they will volunteer all this social media information, but if you ever call them a social media fanatic, they will deny it down to the last second. You guys don't know anyone like that? Maybe that's an older person thing.
No.
Yeah, I just don't deny it. Like, yeah.
Okay, maybe it's because...
But I could see somebody like on their Snap story complaining, can you believe this guy said that I'm a social media whatever?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm actually, my youngest, I've had to scold him a couple times because he likes to watch some YouTube stuff, and then he'll throw out like a, not necessarily inflammatory statement, but just a statement on something. Like the other day, he said, Apple hasn't had any new ideas in 10 years or something like that. I'm like, oh, excuse me? Are you the tech expert in the house? I'm like, please go on and explain why you came up with this opinion, because I'm sure you came up with that opinion. I'm like, just curiosity. Explain this to me.
Basically just quoting what they read.
Right. And he's done that a few times, and it drives me nuts. And maybe I shouldn't get that irked about it, but I can't stand that when somebody throws something out, they don't really know why. They saw it somewhere. They have nothing to back it up.
I hear you.
And you can argue point for point, but they don't really know. So I'm like, you got to stop doing that just because some 16-year-old kid that likes the same football team as you brought this up on YouTube.
That's a beautiful thing right there. I'm glad that you call him out for that. I don't care how old you are. You should be called out for stuff like that. Don't be just spraying statements around town with nothing to back it up. All right, another one of these boomer opinions that everyone agrees with. Screw touch screens. I want physical buttons, especially in the car.
No, I like my touch screen.
Oh, I see what you're... Yeah, you know what? I always wanted everything to be a touch screen before a lot of things became touch screens. I like a little of both, but I know what you mean about having knobs and dials, and maybe that's the same thing, and buttons in the car for sure. You know, you don't want to be staring at your screen there.
I guess all I can say on that subject is I've got a touch screen in my motor vehicle, and, I listen to music You guys like music?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been doing tune in occasionally.
And when I try to change the song forward or backward, I got to take off my gloves. Like in the wintertime. I guess that's a small inconvenience. Other than that, I don't really care about touchscreens versus physical.
But like turning up the fan on the heater or something. You know, instead of going through menus, I'd much rather have, something I can turn or press.
Okay.
Easy, like a button.
That's a different kind of a spin then, sure.
Like electric vehicles, how it's just a giant iPad in a lot of them. That's something, that's like, there's a few reasons I'm not ready for an electric vehicle, but that's one of them.
I've never been in an electric vehicle, so there you go. Boomer opinion that everyone agrees with, going to concerts and everyone has their stupid phone up in the air.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yep,
That
I
is
hate
annoying.
that.
I will never own an e-reader. Nothing compares to a real paper book.
Oh, I much prefer an e-reader, actually.
E-reader?
Yeah, I agree with them. I prefer actual books. I actually like, I'll specifically only get hardcover, too. It's better than paperback.
Okay.
I'm like
Makes me feel cool.
I'm an artist's dream or an author's dream because I'll buy the hardcover and then I'll still buy the ebook. And then sometimes I also buy the audiobook.
And then go to the movie.
Yeah.
When it
And
turns into
wait for the movie.
That's awesome.
I prefer to read the e-reader, on my tablet or whatever. But if it's a book that's something like I care about that I want to put on the shelf, say, like Dave Grohl came out with a book recently. Like I wanted to own that, have a physical copy of it, just to have.
That's how I feel. So I don't really read. I like having, you can have a ton of books on there for whatever you're into, and you just carry around this e-reader.
Is an e-reader just like your laptop computer?
Laptop, phone, tablet, anything like that, yeah.
I mean, like Amazon, they make their own that are the Kindle, which is very popular, and some of them are they almost look like pieces of paper.
I'd have to see one to fully understand it, I think, an e-reader. Maybe I'll try one someday. I don't know, maybe when Sami Zayn writes his autobiography, maybe I'll read that on an e-read. I want to read articles online without entering an email, creating an account, and giving out my phone number, say boomers, and most of us agree with that.
Yeah, that is the worst.
It's a pain in the butt.
I want to speak to a real person on the phone when I have to call a business. Automated customer service lines are the worst.
I kind of like not having to talk to someone.
I know what you mean to a certain extent, but there's some times where they just do not let you talk to a real person.
Yeah.
Yep. And you're just going to outrage like, let me talk to a person.
Or like you'll go through, is it this? Is it this? Is it this? And everything is no. That's not your issue.
All right.
And my doctor's office even is trying to push more video visits. If you, they ask you to schedule online. Like I called and they're like, we're going to send you a text message with a link to schedule online. I'm like, okay. So I do that and they're like, how about a video visit? I'm like, nah, I should probably go in for this. How about a video visit? They just keep. And I was telling Nick this off the air. I don't think I told you guys this. So I scheduled the video visit with this doctor last week when my ears were all messed up. And she's like, well, it's kind of hard. She's kind of almost rude about it. It's a little hard to diagnose your ears over a video visit. I'm like, yeah, tell me about it. I called. They said video. I went online. It made me do video. I did whatever I could.
You were just following orders.
Yeah, I just did what they told me to do.
Hey, this wasn't my idea, lady.
No,
you do a video visit.
I was ready to come in.
Isn't it something that doctors' visits are now video visits? And Cubby's latest problems were with his penis and the insides of his ears.
Yeah.
That makes for a real comfortable video visit with the doctor.
I'm a little worried about that. I had to make a penis visit follow-up, and it's video.
When is this happening?
End of February.
Link me in on this.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering,
on my e-reader.
What if he asks to see it? I can't do something like that.
You got to haul it out, son.
I can't, not over video.
Whip it out, man.
Unleash the fury. Another boomer opinion that all generations agree with. Paper menus are far superior to QR codes.
Remember how confused we were the first... I was with you the first time we did that, and luckily we've got some hip, trendy bosses in this building that we were with.
Dude, Josh and I are at a bar restaurant. We're waiting on a couple of the big bosses. You guys don't have to worry about it. It's the kind of meetings you guys will never be invited to. We're waiting on the two big bosses to join us for a dinner date kind of a thing, and we're sitting there forever, and I think you said, why has none of the staff brought us a menu yet? And I was thinking the same thing. We've been sitting here where's the menu? and there was some kind of a squirrely design on the table. Was that what happened, Josh?
Yeah, it was a QR code on the table.
And I said, I have no idea what to do with this.
We got to say, like, this is one of the first times we'd gone out after the pandemic. This is shortly afterwards, where restaurants were back, and I didn't realize, and I only go to, like, casual, like pick it up at the door or sit there for 5-minute places.
Burger King, yeah.
Yeah, like something like that. And so this was actually a restaurant, and I hadn't seen that yet.
I had no idea what we were supposed to do, and then someone
I thought it was
said
kind of cool,
you
but
point your phone at it or something. I still don't know what to do. What?
I would love that. You use your camera.
Yep.
My camera?
Yeah, and then like a little
and then
thing
a link
pops up.
and then you hit the link.
Oh, how stupid.
I kind of I thought that was cool, but I do agree with this, that if I had the choice, I'd probably rather have a
Give me a
regular
menu.
germ-filled menu.
Yeah, cheese sandwich, BLT, whatever you got.
I would love to have video footage of you two trying to figure that out.
I had no idea what was going on.
Well, I'm somewhat techie, but
yeah.
I didn't know that technology or I knew the technology existed, but you go somewhere and you can scan something and learn, like a Home Depot or something, learn about it. I didn't know they were doing that with menus.
This must be a question that, this is a question that you folks are going to have to handle. A question that came in from a listener. They must have been inspired when we were talking about e-readers. What are your thoughts on e-tabs? What the hell is that? What are
at the
e-tabs?
bar.
pull tabs?
Pull tabs on the little screen instead of the
Yeah,
actual
they
cardboard.
give you like an iPad and you can play online pull tabs with it.
Yeah, I refuse to play those. I don't know why. I just think that you don't get lucky on them.
Never saw it.
That is really surprising.
Yeah, the bar that I drink at doesn't have pull tabs, and if I ever go to a bar that has pull tabs, it's just a very unhappy person behind a counter with a bunch of plastic boxes. So
Usually they keep them behind the bar. You ask the bartender for it.
I know nothing about e-tabs. Sorry, but it sounds like Ashley is not a fan.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
The last time I played pull tabs, we were at a promotion for the station, and I was hanging out with Medical Device Jesus and some of his derelict buddies. And they're like, hey, we got a bunch. You want to pull some of these? I'm like, nah, I'm not really into it. I got bad luck, all that kind of stuff. They're like, no, just give it a shot. So I opened the first one. I won like $300, and I think they were kind of mad at me. I mean, I didn't keep the money.
Yeah.
They were very cool. Like, hey, you opened it, you get to keep it. I'm like, no, I'll give it back. But I couldn't believe my luck. I never win at those things.
Yeah, that's
ever.
awesome.
Here's a few more text messages that have come in on all this talk of boomer opinions. Now, I mentioned that in the winter, I'll often wear gloves while driving. I'm always cold. Always cold.
That is true.
So I'll wear and when I want to touch my touch screen thing to maybe put on a Mr. Big song, it's sometimes a problem. I got to take my gloves off. Here's a listener claiming I don't know if he's messing with me. I mean, he knows I can't figure out QR codes or e-readers or anything. So he says you can get a pair of touch screen gloves.
Yeah, they make those.
I have
Oh, my
a pair
God.
of those for snowboarding. It's nice.
Why do you need touch screen gloves for snowboarding?
It'll work on your touchscreen. So you've got gloves on still.
Well, yeah, but why do you need them for snowboarding?
Because then I can change the song on my phone.
Oh, you've got
without
your
taking
phone.
my gloves off.
You got your phone in your pocket while you're and you're listening to music.
Yeah.
Or musique. Is it ever Mr. Big?
Not yet, no.
For sure, and Ashley doing like a 1080 while listening to a Mr. Big song.
There you go. Touch screen gloves, Josh?
I don't have any, but I could see the value there. I know I've been, using the, what do they call that? That my words are escaping me. When you got snow on the driveway, you don't want it on the driveway, so you operate a snow blower. Yeah. There we go. I know there's times I want to change something up on my phone on the snow blower, and I got to take my phone out and take my glove off.
Here's a listener who is quoting a boomer. His grandpa. This listener says his grandpa recently said, I wasn't put on this planet to drive a car that doesn't run on gasoline. All right, some more boomer opinions that everyone agrees with. I don't need a smart refrigerator or toaster.
I agree with that completely.
Well, I wouldn't mind having a smart fridge
a
or
smart fridge would be
or
cool.
one of those refrigerator ovens. Have you guys heard of those?
No.
I don't even know what a smart refrigerator or a smart toaster is.
Well, a smart refrigerator, you can have basically like an iPad on the front of it. It can do a lot of different things, but...
And you can see inside of it.
Right.
Waffle? adults are trying to talk here.
You can see inside of it.
You
on
can
your
see
phone.
inside of it.
Yeah, you could be like, "Am I out of milk?" And then you go to your phone and you can see inside your refrigerator.
Right,
It's
and sometimes
awesome.
it can tell you like what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Oh, for
you just say,
Christ's
"Here's
sake.
the normal things."
Are you guys serious?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, like
and then some you can even order it on your fridge.
Yeah.
Or order what on my fridge?
Milk,
Groceries.
Oh.
Yeah.
My God, you're just thrown by this,
Dude,
huh?
anything in the kitchen, I'm all for.
That's
you're
true.
You're a foodie.
Yeah, you are a foodie.
Like having Alexa in the kitchen changed my world.
You just pissed off a lot of people by saying that trigger word.
Yeah, having that device in the kitchen, so you'd be cutting stuff up, or your hands got you have a bunch of stuff on your hands, and then you just, hey Alexa, switch the song.
Do you have
Did
one
it
of
again.
these?
Oh, I did.
Do you have one of an e-fridge? What is it called again?
No, I want
A
one.
smart fridge.
Do you have? You don't. Well, then you got to. I mean, maybe if you get yourself one, you'll calm down a little bit.
Maybe,
So-
or I'll be talking about it more.
But these refrigerated ovens. So let's say you got a lasagna, right? You put it in the oven when you go to work.
Is it Stouffer's, as my dad would say?
Yeah, Stouffer's.
It's a Stouffer's lasagna.
Yeah, for you, it's got this. It's the one you like, the vegetarian vegan version.
Ooh, gimme. Yeah.
So you put it in your refrigerated oven.
Refrigerated oven.
And then you say, I'm going to be home at 5:30, and I'm going to need some nice Stouffer's lasagna. And then it turns into an oven and cooks it for you.
Sounds like a great way to burn my house down.
Or if, something lightly, like how women just approach you and say, hey, bed me. And so you're like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to be rude.
Yes.
So maybe you go to this lady's place.
Okay, now I'm at a lady's place.
And then you got to get on your phone and say, hey, oven, I'm not going to be home for that lasagna. Just keep it cool, baby.
F me running.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I like that.
Using apps for everything pisses off not just boomers, but all of us. Using apps for everything. It says here, for example, like going to Disney World and not being able to do anything, including eat, unless you use the app.
Yeah.
When the Wild switched over to having where the digital, where you have to go on to the NHL app and then you have to
get
go
the
on,
tickets?
Yeah, and
I
then-
hate that.
Tickets, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, how are old people ever going to get to the Wild game?
Dude,
The only thing I like about it is if you can't use your tickets, it's easy enough to transfer them to somebody else.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Versus having to meet up with them or something like that.
I don't know. Wapple, I deal with that with the Timberwolves and the Golden Gopher basketball and the Twins.
Well, that's
and I love all those teams, and I'll always support those teams, but I don't like the nightmare of downloading this or that. I don't know what I'm doing, and I get pissed off.
And the thing that sucks is all those teams use a different app.
Yeah.
So then you have to download
True.
3 different apps.
Yeah.
Well, and I
then
think
you're like, wait, the Timberwolves use AXS? What is it?
I don't know why we just can't hand out regular tickets.
And I miss collecting like the physical ticket stubs because I was a dork growing up that would save all my ticket stubs, especially
yeah,
to
there's something to that.
big concerts or big games that I went to. Like I still have them all.
Now take a selfie,
I think
prove that you were there.
with a lot of our giveaways now, it's done that way. So if we give away tickets to something like, let's say, a third place game, old joke, people, I think some people are like, well, wait a minute, I gotta get this app in order to win tickets. Well, that's kind of how it's done nowadays.
But then the cool
And then
thing-
Wapple can't sell tickets on the side that he gets from the station.
They totally got my side hustle
His
done.
income has been reduced significantly.
Well, and then a lot of the times, listeners don't have to come to the station now to pick up tickets. Too.
That's a positive, right?
That's a big positive. I'd
We
say.
don't want you people in our building.
for your own sake, you don't want to see this.
Yeah, it'd be embarrassing for us if you saw where,
And it
where
really
we
is.
actually work.
It really is kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's confusing to get to. So yeah, that part's nice.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, Backtracks Edition.
In Australia, a dude named Carl. I wonder if he's a Foreigner fan. I'll shake this eventually. I'll shake it. What was that?
Carl.
Was that a reference to earlier?
No, it's llamas with hats.
Oh yeah, that well-known thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guarantee you, anyone under the age of 30 knows what I'm talking about right now.
You're referring to a bit called Llamas with Hats?
Yeah, it's like this weird YouTube series thing where there's 2 llamas with hats, and Carl is always getting in trouble and eating people's hands and stuff.
Wapple, are you familiar? You're under 30.
He's on the phone right now giving away those foreigner tickets.
Oh, I forgot about that.
All right. Well, if I completely run out of anything else to do in my life, I will check that out, actually.
Honestly, Dana, you'd get a kick out of it. It's hilarious.
I'm sure I would. I'm just busting balls.
Well, I've done everything. Nothing else to do.
It's along the line of like those creepy pastas.
I've watched everything on Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, and Pornhub. I guess I'll check out the llamas.
I have 3 PhDs.
Okay, Wapple's back. Wapple, do you know what llamas with hats are?
I think so. The llamas wear party hats?
And it's Carl, and he's eating people's hands and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, Carl.
Yes.
All right, you've made your point. Everybody under the age of 30 knows what you're talking about.
Josh and I walk into the hospital room to see Dana before he dies. But the bed is empty. And we say to the nurse, "Oh, Christ, he died." And the nurse says, yeah, Dana passed on. And we say, "Did he have any final requests?" And the nurse said, "Yeah, he asked to see the video, Llamas with Hats."
Ashley, people are loving the reference via text here.
Yes.
And a couple of people said they screamed Carl even before you did.
Nice.
All right. We've got something to do when the show is over. We'll check that out. Carl, he lives in Australia. He got a text from his neighbor, Nick, and Nick asked Carl to, quote, "take my garbage can out." Carl responded with, "Sure, no problem. Any particular place?" I don't think Nick ever got back to him on that, so just to be a smartass, Carl took Nick's garbage can out to the beach. They stopped at the hardware store. They hit a couple of bars for drinks and all like that.
It's a hell of a date.
Carl said, "We went for a massage. We went to the tattoo parlor to get a couple of extra 6s on the garbage can." I don't know if I get what that means. Is that a reference to the llama video?
No.
Okay. He said, "We stopped at the pub for a coldie."
I like the way they talk.
While Carl was out on a date with Nick's garbage can, some garbage men and women who Wapple used to have very little respect for years ago.
That
Very,
has
very
changed.
little.
Oh, well, okay, he made it bad again.
No, I was saying back then.
Back then, you've changed.
Yeah, I was a garbage man for a couple hours.
And then they fired you. They Dana'd you.
Some garbage men and women noticed Carl out on a date with a garbage can, and they asked him to pose for some pictures, and he did. Carl's funny. He also said at one point his date stopped to make a phone call in order to talk some trash.
Nice.
He's good. He's good. Carl, this became a story in the local paper, and Carl told the local papers that putting a smile on people's faces, especially his neighbors, was totally worth it. He said of his neighbor, "We catch up for a beer when we can, and we have a chat and a few laughs. He's a beautiful person. You'd do anything for him." He said, "Take my garbage can out." If he had said, "Put my garbage can out," it would have been just a normal day.
I'm wondering if the can actually ever got emptied, or if he's just going to have to wait for another week to get his trash can emptied.
I kind of wonder if he had sex with the garbage can.
Carl, what did you do?
Well, what's happening?
Carl! Carl!
That's audio from the llama bit. Is it llamas having a conversation with each other and they're wearing hats?
Yeah.
Wait, is this animated or is it actual llamas?
It's animated.
Okay.
Yeah, Carl also sinks a cruise ship.
This Carl sounds like trouble.
He is. He's a little bit of a psychopath.
Where do you see something like this?
YouTube.
YouTube, okay.
It came out when that Narwhal song came out around that time.
Okay, now we got to start all over again. The Narwhal song?
Yeah, narwhals swimming through the ocean, causing a commotion.
All right, now I know that one.
Okay, now just so you know, while Wapple was singing the Narwhal song, Ashley was dancing back and forth As we continue the stupid news, if there are any other bizarro YouTube videos that the stories remind you of, give me a heads up. But here we go. Speaking of weird, fun oddities that might go down in your typical neighborhood, like a guy taking a trash can out on a date, everybody should get a look at the dude who has a 25-foot shark sticking out of the roof of his home.
Okay, now, here's a problem.
Oh, no.
It does remind me of a YouTube video.
Oh, God, no.
But I don't know if I should do it.
Whatever. Who cares at this point, you know?
I could turn it off.
Mommy shark, do 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 do. Mommy shark, do do.
But I want to find out who all is in the family.
Mommy shark.
Daddy shark, do 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 do. Daddy shark, do 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 do. Daddy shark, do do.
I didn't see that coming at all.
It's classic.
I hate myself.
Jamie Tart.
That's a better reference.
Shout out Ted Lasso fans.
Oh, man, that's good.
You know, I'm lost. But I deserve it. I deserve it. I know I lose a lot of yous when I go on and on about my favorite, songs and old bands from the 70s and 80s, so I deserve this. That I don't have any idea what reference Dana was just making.
I gotta see if I can find that.
You said Jamie
Tart. That's the wrong one. Jamie Tart. Good reference.
Jamie effing Tart.
Here's a text from Metal Inspecting Jesus who says he hates himself for knowing all these references. Okay. Well, this is no baby shark that's sticking out of the damn roof of this guy's house. It's this huge fiberglass and steel shark. It looks like God pulled a shark out of the ocean and javelined it towards this neighborhood, and the shark stuck into the roof of his home.
Or the neighbor just got hit by a Sharknado recently.
Sharknado, sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's a boring story. It really is. It's just some blah, blah, blah about some fight with the government. But basically his dad, this guy's dad created it, put it there 30-some years ago, and there's still a lawsuit going on as to whether it should be there or not. Like I said, it's boring and it doesn't really matter. Maybe we can put the sumbitch up on 93xbygod.com ski.
Yeah, I can do that.
Because it is something to see. It attracts hundreds of visitors from around the world, according to the story. I don't know what the guy's dad was thinking, because it's ridiculous. It really makes no sense to have a shark sticking out of the roof of your house, but, people are different. Stands out. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, you notice it.
Yeah. You can't help that.
A lot of hate coming in on that baby shark song. Now, Asian Cop Jesus said if we keep playing it, he's going to call the cops. Mm-hmm. Now, I know what department he works for. So if you want to call the real cops, call the St. Paul Police Department. I know they're located nearby.
Kayak Fisherman Jesus says, I'm sorry, I don't quite understand the shark story. So there's a shark sticking out of the roof, or is it sticking out of his home?
A whole home.
Okay, now I'm receiving text messages with just bizarre, I think, YouTube videos, bizarre YouTube gimmicks. Okay, so I'll throw it at Ashley and Wapple, since they seem to know all this stuff. Charlie the Unicorn?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Charlie.
What do they want to do? Like get over the Rainbow Bridge or something?
Yeah. No, go to Magic Mountain.
Yeah, Magic Mountain.
Let's go to Magic Mountain, Charlie.
I imagine this is what it's like to go to Wapple's place and Ashley's already there and they're high. And we just catch them in conversation. You say, remember when the unicorn? And Ashley's like, yeah, I remember that.
You guys have really started something.
You got a good thing going here.
Yeah. You got to make more of these references.
Charlie the Unicorn. Daniel, you're writing this all down so we can look it up when the show's over?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. More weirdness here. Outside the building. There's weirdness going on right here inside the building, but here's outside the building weirdness. And I welcome all of it. We're having a good time. There's a new kind of furniture to sit your buns on. And you'll get what I'm saying here in a minute. You got to see this. Someone created a couch, a sofa, but it's called a loafa, Loafa. It's the creation of a rapper by the name of Tommy Cash. He's from Estonia. We don't hear much from Estonia, do we?
No.
Except for a stretch of time. And here's where, you know how I said you guys lost me there for a while with all these YouTube references. And I mentioned that I do deserve it because I lose the audience often with my weird references. All I can think of when I hear Estonia is for a stretch of time, local wrestling hero Super Thunder Frog, his character was Estonian Farmer Frog.
I love that guy.
Okay. So there you go. This Tommy Cash from Estonia, he is known to design eccentric things. His latest is this loafa effing thing. It's an L-shaped couch that looks like dinner rolls.
I could see Dana. There's two people I thought of right away. Dana, you're one of them, and my sister-in-law. I could see both of you buying this couch.
It looks kind of comfy.
It's not available for purchase.
Ow.
That's how they get you.
But he is trying to convince IKEA to sell the loafa. He said on Instagram that if he got more than 10,000 comments, IKEA would release the loafa. Well, he has surpassed 10,000 comments, but no word yet on what IKEA plans to do with, and I hate myself for having to say it again, the loafa. I have no idea why anybody would want this in their home, but there it is if you want it, Dana or Josh's sister-in-law.
It'd be cool if like there was slices in the where the buns are, so you could like snuggle up in the buns like a hot dog.
I think I see what you mean.
Yeah, that sounds cozy.
Sounds like a good way to get somebody pregnant, is what it sounds like to me. Okay. Shell Jesus says, we could just do this all day. Just continue to take sharp turns to weird references until we hit 9 a.m. Shell Jesus says, Link from Encino Man was from Estonia.
Yes, he
okay.
was.
Okay, now where can we go with that? How far can we take that conversation?
So we could spin it off as a Pauly Shore discussion, some caveman stuff.
That's why this is such a blast.
Oh, we could go video games.
We could?
Link with Zelda.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's the doorman that greets you outside my place is a Link doormat.
Link
That's really
from
cool.
Link from what now?
Zelda.
Oh, never saw it.
It's like the original. It's like a shot from the original, and it says, "It's dangerous to go alone. Take this." And Link is standing there holding up his sword.
Sweet.
You're single, huh?
That's your welcome, Matt.
And let's not forget something else Dana said this morning. In case you're just tuning in, he was once paid to test, drink. How do you say it?
Like taste test hot chocolate.
He was once paid to taste test hot chocolate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great. You sat in a room and they brought a couple in. They would show you design, like potential logo designs, and you would rate them. And there's that glass wall where it would look like a mirror, but we knew that people were watching us. You know?
How did you sign up? How did you find out that they needed human beings to taste test hot chocolate and hot chocolate logos?
I got just cold called. They called my house one day, and I was like 12 or 13. They were just looking for kids to do,
To kidnap?
Oh, you were a kid.
Yeah, no, my parents had to come with. And
I was picturing you were a young adult.
No, I was a kid. Yeah, and they after they gave me an envelope like $50 cash, and it was the greatest thing ever.
Were you just like super jacked after all the sugar from the hot
Yeah,
chocolate?
and also I was just like, let's go to Best Buy right now. This is burning a hole in my pocket.
Were your parents suspicious of this when a 12 or 13-year-old gets cold called out of the blue to come to a building and taste test something?
I definitely would be.
Well, it was some type of market research thing, and I think my mom had done it at some point too. And
Oh, your mom's done it. I'll tell you that.
Mrs. Wessel.
Yeah, and then I've been called a couple other times to do them, but they have you like answer a questionnaire about all these things, about how often you use this type of product, and you don't really know exactly what they're. You try to guide your answers to what they want you to say, but it's hard to tell sometimes. But that was the only time I ever got selected to do it.
We are a pack of weirdos.
We really are.
Was this in the summer or the winter?
God, I'm trying to remember, Waffle. I was young. I want to say it was like this thing was in the summer because I'm thinking they were probably getting products ready for the hot chocolate season. You know?
I was going to say I wouldn't want that in the
getting
summertime.
ready for the hot chocolate season.
You don't hear that on other shows.
Nick, when you've been in the hot chocolate game as long as I have, you got to pick up some lingo. Okay?
I don't even understand your language.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. New episodes drop each weekday. If your podcast platform has ratings, go ahead and give us 5 stars and maybe give our enemies 1. Thanks, and here's a word from our sponsor.
Regular furnace maintenance can be your wallet's best friend, slashing energy bills and warding off those inconvenient breakdowns that seem to strike at the worst moments. Don't leave it to chance. Schedule your tune-up today at standardheating.com.